And they don't mind. They don't mind because they're really there as a cover to use the tools, to use their access to further their political agenda. It really is sick. Roger Stone, thank you for joining us today here on the War Room. We'll be back. We got 2 more hours. Infowars.com/show. Roger, you got 20 seconds. Anything else you want to say?
No, we're good.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time here on the War Room. That's Roger Stone. You can check his book, Stone's Rules, at the InfoWars store at InfoWarsStore.com.
Got something that is really hilarious. And so we're taking lemons that we've been given by the big tech censors and we're turning it into luscious lemonade. And this is kind of the spirit of InfoWars, that we take a licking and keep on ticking, the old Timex said. Adage, licking and that Drudge applied to InfoWars. And it's because we expect to be attacked. We expect the full spectrum could possibly happen to us, and probably will, because we intend to be leaders in fighting tyranny. We intend to be 100% in. Because if you're going to get in a fight, you better go balls to the walls. You better go 110% or you're going to get hurt. And so they've banned our Apple app that only came out 6 weeks ago, 2 weeks before the ban. And then it went to #1, and so they deleted that it was #1, but it's still there. Then went back to close to #1, so they just totally did delete it. But it's still on your iPhones if you have it. But the Android is still there at Infowars.com/app for now. If it's on your phone for a few years, it'll work, and it's a great app. People love it. It's the new app, InfoWars Official. So here's the original ad that Savannah put together with Drew, of our great team here, with a little added something at the end that our own Rob Dew, news director, put together. Here it is.
Hey guys, my name is Savannah Hernandez, and if you're always on the go like me, then you're not always tied to your computer or TV. So we just released our free InfoWars Official app. The InfoWars Official app includes all of our live broadcasts like War Room with Owen Schroyer, Real News with David Knight, and the holy grail of podcast and radio, the Owen Show. And the best part about the InfoWars Official app is that every single time we go live, you get notifications so that you never miss a beat. So whether you're in the car or on a run, this app makes it easy to keep the InfoWars right in your pocket. So what are you waiting for? Download.
Not so fast, InfoWars. Apple banned your app.
I help too.
Oliver.
I hate free speech too.
We hate free speech.
We hate free speech. We hate free speech. We hate free speech.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You can still get the app until CNN and Soros-funded BuzzFeed and the Chi-Com merged Apple get together and I guess get Google to ban it. You know, we are getting persecuted, and I don't want to say it's all been a bed of roses, but the results have been victory. I mean, at a gut level, at a spiritual level, I feel good. Really, for the first time in this 25-year quest, 26-year quest, as I started fighting the globalists, 24 years on air, I've always been very satisfied. But I just always had a burning that the enemy's going to win, and that I'm literally, God's mad at me. And now, as we approach the real persecution, I'm serious. I feel God's presence more, discernment more, understanding more, peace more. Folks have noticed sometimes a little bit more calm now. Even though we have this horrible storm obviously hitting the U.S., kind of mixed metaphors, that humanity's going to make it. Now, it's going to be a remnant of us, but this big test, you got to hit rock bottom before you start going back up. And I'm just really impressed with everybody. I'm talking about the listeners, the activists, everybody. I'm really impressed with you. And I'm really impressed with Trump. And I'm really impressed with the drip, drip, drip of Google and Apple getting exposed and the crimes they're committing. And Trump's getting ready to drop the hammer on them right now. And you're seeing them strike back with all the videos coming out. And it's a warning to Google. You think the stuff they released yesterday is bad? They've got everything. Oh, yeah, they've got the meetings with the Chinese. I mean, you know Google's really the CIA. But it's leftist run now, so it's run over to China, and it's a civil war inside the intelligence agencies. You don't think it's all been recorded? You don't think all the crimes of Tim Cook at Apple and all the rest of these jerks aren't known? And their scientists are resigning every day, top ones, saying you are pure evil?
Hey, how would you like to take InfoWars with you wherever you go? Well, now you can do just that with the new official InfoWars app. And here's the best part. It is absolutely free. At the Apple Store and Google Play, you can join the InfoWar today. Check it out right now at InfoWars.com/app.
Welcome back to the War Room. And I just was using that time off a little bit, that little break with Alex Jones to peruse Twitter and see what was going on. Got this article from the Gateway Pundit. Ties into what everything we've been talking about. Ex-CIA chief John Muslim Brennan encourages deep state to defy President Trump's declassification order. He's literally calling them to be seditious. Right there, that's from Cassandra Fairbanks over at the Gateway Pundit and Big League Politics. The deep state is in an obvious panic mode since President Trump ordered a number of documents relating to the Russia investigation to be declassified, joining the loud choir of those pushing for insubordination against the president is former CIA Director John Brennan. So the Democrats are freaking out because they know this is going to be the leaky boat. It's going to sink them. And as they start going down, we saw Clapper already saying, well, this is all kind of done by Obama. I mean, he was the one who ordered all these investigations. That's why it happened. And so they will turn on each other as soon as they can. So he was on MSNBC, and he urged people in the intelligence community to ignore the president's order. The reason we didn't find out about it till today is because nobody watches MSNBC. They have to wait for it to come out on YouTube. And here's his quote. And this is something that I am hoping that individuals of conscience are going to stop and prevent, because I'm concerned that this is just one indication that Mr. Trump is going to increasingly look for steps to take in order to further subvert the Mueller investigation. Well, this is just transparency, Mr. Brennan. I mean, what do they have to hide, right? That's what it's all about. What do they have to hide? If they have nothing to hide, they shouldn't worry about this. Shouldn't be any big deal. But maybe they do have something to hide. Now, we have this supposed blue wave that's taking place, but here in Texas, things went a little differently. Here it is out of Infowars.com. Red wave just went up. It's from Don Salazar. Hispanic Republican flips Texas district after 139 years. District hasn't been Republican since the days of slavery. You can see where the district is. It kind of starts in San Antonio and goes all the way over to Big Bend. So it's a state Senate district, but this is a state race. And this is Pete Flores defeated Democrat Pete Gallego in District 19. So they can't say it was racism. They can't say it was sexism. They can't say it was ageism, because actually I think Pete Flores was older than Pete Gallego. You can't say it's Peteism because they're both named Pete. All right. This was the voters turning out and saying, we want different leadership. So it hasn't been Republican since 1879. Pete Flores beat Pete Gallego 53 to 47%. Which brings me to another InfoWars article from Paul Joseph Watson. Dem leader tells crowd, has to do with the voting in the blue versus red wave. Vote early and vote often, whatever you can get away with. I shouldn't say that, but I really don't care. This is a St. Clair Democrat leader told a crowd to vote early and vote often at a rally in Caseyville over the weekend. Here's that video. Don't take my word for it.
We got a great candidate for governor, J.B. Pritzker. He's going to win. He's going to win big. But he won't win if we do not get out and vote. We need to early vote. Like I say, we can play East St. Louis route, vote off and vote early, vote off, and whatever you can get away with. I shouldn't say that, but I really don't care.
Vote early, vote often. It's kind of like President Obama when he was outgoing. They're asking about the election, and people were talking about illegal immigrants voting. And he goes, well, if you vote, you're a citizen. Yeah, we have, I think they thought like 3 million illegals voted in this last election. for president. So we'll see what happens this year. I mean, we already see the election meddling going on. Hillary Clinton says Trump's going to wholesale fire people after the midterm elections. So this is all kind of coming to a nexus. You see the shadow banning happen, the outright banning of people on social media only happening on one side of the spectrum. Now, there's a guy on Twitter saying white existence is a crime. He'll probably get a medal from Twitter. Your existence is a crime, hence we say land or death. Replying back to somebody, and this was the Black First, Land First spokesman, Lindsay Masdorp, which a lot of people pointed out, that is a Dutch surname. So the man's got white blood in him somewhere. He doesn't look very black, like the guy on the right. He's the whitest black man I've ever seen. And yet he's calling for racism and white genocide. And if you talk about it, you're a white supremacist. Even Joe Rogan talked about what's going on in South Africa. People are like, Joe, how could you? You're a white supremacist now. How dare you talk about what's going on in South Africa when they say white existence is a crime and land or death? That's just puppies and kittens to us. How dare you? Last week, Masdorp took to Twitter to voice his disapproval of an article in which the Citizen had looked at his tweets alleging that white media companies had benefited more from the state from the now defunct Gupta-owned newspaper. Masdorp said the Citizen must really learn to read in a public tweet. So he is the spokesperson for Black First, Land First. But he'll be allowed to stay on Twitter. He'll be allowed to preach hate, preach fascism, preach white genocide, and that'll be okay. Because if you're on the left, you can say whatever you want. Your existence is a crime. He says it right there. That's his tweet. What else do we have? I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a news blitz as we end up. The marijuana industry pushes to eliminate the word stoner, drawing applause, anger, and confusion. There's a badge on her uniform, possibly a gun on her hip, and her arms are spread a little, suggesting she's ready for anything. You might think you're looking at a police officer walking the beat. It's an effort by MedMen Enterprises of Culver City to remind you that marijuana users come from all walks of life. They can be cops, nurses, doctors, scientists, construction foremen, and grandmothers. And then they feature the word stoner with a line drawn through it. And say, let's get rid of this. It's a negative stereotype. MedMen operates 14 retail pot stores, including one in San Diego. They want to take the stigma away. And this kind of goes to the abortion question. We've seen states exercise their state rights to say, hey, we want to sell marijuana to people. We want to tax it. We want to use it to fund things. Yeah, it's against federal law, but we don't care. And this is what Trump said when getting Kavanaugh in, about getting Kavanaugh. Oh, is he going to kill Roe versus Wade? He said, well, if something happens like that, then it'll go to the states and the states will get to decide, which is why we have the United States of America. It's individual states coming together to form a republic. It's not about the government extending its authority over the states. So you need to have the states be able to make their own laws, especially when it comes to things like killing babies. I think that should be down to the state level. And I think you'll see most states vote to get rid of it or make it very hard or put different regulations on it, unlike what are on now, which is basically if the baby is still inside the woman, we can kill it. How would empowering women beyond their wildest dreams? Who wrote that article? No, it was on the Federalist. Who's the writer of that? Oh, Catherine Glenn Foster. Okay. All right, we'll be back right after this. I'm going to look into what's going on with Project Veritas. They are releasing left hooks left and right to the deep state and showing how kind of pathetic these people really are. We'll get into it after this. Short break. You're watching the War Room at Infowars.com/show is the free stream to send out to everybody. Welcome back to the War Room. Almost halfway through the second hour. We're here till 6 p.m. Central at Infowars.com/show. That is our free stream. You can also still get us at Infowars.com/app for Android. If you have the app on Apple, it's still usable. It still works. I have it. I get the push notifications. In fact, let me show people something here on this app. And I've been meaning to shoot a video on this. See this little bell right here? When you go to the news section, there's a little bell. And if you hit that bell, you will get notifications. Anytime we go live, anytime we put a new article out, boom, you'll get a notification. So if you have your InfoWars official app, go to the news section down at the bottom and click that little bell, and you will get all the updates we have. Anytime we go live, that's how we're pushing them out. We're putting these live feeds and articles, so then boom, they get pushed out to you. It's the way, we're kind of having to circumvent the system because the tech giants don't want us to have our say, especially with this midterm election. They wanted to give the 2016 election to Hillary. They were unable to do that. So what do? They lie, cheat, and steal. That's all they do. And that takes us to this next set of articles here. Project Veritas is really doing it. They're doing a great job. Today they released, this is the second in their line of videos, their target is Allison Raber. I hope I'm butchering her name. Works for the Department of Justice. She has a LexisNexis account which she uses to dox people. Interestingly, when I think it was Kristen Nielsen of Homeland Security, she was eating at a Mexican restaurant, there was a Department of Justice person that was there leading that chant against her. So she's a paralegal. She's also a member of the Democratic Socialist of America. Oh, and she was involved in driving DHS Secretary Kristen Nielsen away from that restaurant. She doesn't mind about breaking the law. She says it's cool. Guys, play some of this video over top of here, because you can't really hear it well. It's something you have to watch, and don't play with the audio. Just play the video, because you can't really, the way they're doing these hidden cameras, they're in bars, a lot of it, but they have subtitles. So how we can resist from the inside, there's a lot of pushback. It's kind of lucky I'm at the DOJ. So she's at the DOJ and she can't be fired. We heard that from Stewart the other day. So it's all about how they can subvert President Trump's agenda. There she's talking about food stamps, how they're slow walking food stamps down. People, and actually record numbers of people are getting off food stamps right now thanks to President Trump's policies, but they don't want to talk about that. Schubel is a senior policy analyst at the center. So here's another journalist. Or she's at the Health and Human Services. So it allows the work requirement allows the state to require medical beneficiaries to work in order to get coverage. Oh, we don't want that. We just want to give stuff away. So she's talking about how they subvert the system. You can read all about it at Infowars.com. Project Veritas unmasked DOJ official using databases to push socialism and dox business owners. So I'm not sure if that's I think you guys are playing a different video, because the one with Allison, she talks about how she's using LexisNexis. It goes to the second part.
I'm back, everybody.
Okay. What I'm amazed at, that she admits, and this is all on camera, that she uses LexisNexis to find members. They were finding members of ICE. They were going after people. And basically, she's using her time on the clock to resist everything at every level, she says, and FS up. And this goes along with the article from yesterday. And this guy was a member of the State Department. His name was Stuart Carafa. He monitors Virginia political news online while at work on behalf of the DSA. He isn't worried about getting caught. And they live in this warped reality where they're so happy about what they're doing. I'm careful about it. I leave a paper trail. Like I send all my emails out at 5:31. These draft messages. So he spends his time at work on your taxpayer dollar, writing messages on behalf of the Democratic Socialist of America. And these are low-level minions. But you can imagine if it's just, you think it's just these two? These two are the only two people doing this, or three. I guess you have the HHS lady as well. That was, where's her name at? Jessica Schubel. Schubel, Harbor, and Carafa. Interesting names, but see, they're using their position and their taxpayer-funded salaries to literally work for an organization that wants to end America as we know it. And will they get fired? Will anything happen to these people? It'll be amazing. Will investigations be launched? Because then they look at Carafa talks about how he brings stuff to this guy who just rubber stamps and doesn't even look at the documents. He's just there, and he's supposed to be the guy as the watchdog, but it doesn't matter. These people are the Democrats, and different laws apply to them. Hillary Clinton gets to out CIA agents through her personal server, and it's no big deal. It's not news. Meanwhile, Kavanaugh might have done something at a high school party 30-something years ago, and it's the end of the world. Now, when we get back, I think I'm going to cover this. This is from the Statesman. Breaking: Austin man at center of 3D printed gun debate faces sexual assault charges. Sex assault charge. Sex assault charge. So this is Cody Wilson. We've had him on our show. This broke this morning. We've actually reached out to him for a comment. I don't know if we've received anything yet. But I'm going to get into this. And this is kind of going to be a warning to people out there that are on the right, that are young and upcoming and single. This is what not to do. I'm going to go over what this indictment says. And this is an affidavit. Said a counselor called Austin police on August 22nd to report that a girl under the age of 17 had sex with a 30-year-old Cody Wilson. So I'm going to break it all down when we get back. Out of CYA, cover your ass. Because people are going to be doing stuff like this. Remember, they lie, cheat, and steal. It's the way they do things. It's the way the left operates. So we'll cover all that when we come back. And I've got a special message from Alex Jones on how to circumvent what we're going through, which is total internet isolation. We'll be right back. You're watching The War Room, Infowars.com/show. All right, quick disclaimer. I am not defending the actions of Cody Wilson, but I'm going to show you what happened. This is what we call like a honeypot trap. So Cody Wilson had an account on SugarDaddyMeat.com. This young lady who's under the age of 17 started an account on SugarDaddyMeat.com and began messaging him with a man named Sanjuro. He told her his name was Cody Wilson and said he was a big deal. They exchanged naked images of themselves. Then they decided to meet at a coffee shop. They go to a hotel, have sex. He pays her $500, and then he drops her off at a Whataburger on Slaughter Lane. So when they say this is a sexual assault is a second-degree felony punishable by 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine, at some point you have to go, all right, this girl created the account. She went to meet him. She exchanged pictures with him. Now, I know she's under the age of 18, but did he go find her at a bar and roofie her drink and take her to a hotel and have his way with her? Did he grab her off the street? No. This is an obvious setup. But hey, this just goes to show you. Men, ask for a driver's license. All right, know when the age of 18 starts. Know the laws in your area. Don't get suckered into this because this can happen to you, especially people that are big in the movement of, especially on the right, who are trying to bring back sensibility into this area. They will get honey trapped. This is the way they do it. Now let's go to a message from Alex Jones.
There's a referendum on free speech here. If you take this live feed that's on Infowars.com right now, and if you text it to your friends and family and tell them, hey, get the Android app while you still can. They already banned the Apple app. Those that downloaded it still have it. Go to Infowars.com/show. If you take action, if you spread the articles, if you email them out, if you text family and say, hey, this is the forbidden Alex Jones, find out why it's forbidden, see what he's really saying. They're coming for all our speech. It will be a chain reaction, and the globalist will fail. If you don't, they are going to win, and they think you're stupid, and then that's going to happen. I don't think you're stupid. And I see Trump moving against them. I see the awakening. I see all these employees at high level quitting Google and Apple and exposing it. And I think humanity is going to find its conscience again, and we're going to turn this around. I want to change the world. I don't want to just sit here and submit to the system. And I know that you're the same, and I believe in you. So I want to thank you all, no matter what color you are, or where you came from, or what you look like. If your heart loves freedom and you love justice, we're all in this together, and we're facing real 21st century authoritarianism. Now, in closing, just like our information is game-changing, our products are game-changing, and Survival Shield X2 is the pure iodine. No one else has this, from deep earth crystals between 7,000 and 12,000 feet. It's very hard for me to get this product. Sometimes there's major shortages. It has 6,126 reviews, 4.9 stars on Power Reviews. No other product on their site has that. It's that amazing. It's the good halogen. You must have iodine in your body. It is essential. And it's just like air. It's just like oxygen. It's just like the basic building blocks. But instead, they hammer you with the bad halogens, fluoride, chlorine, bromine, and about 7 other things that literally fog you, fill all your cells, your thyroid, you name it. And a lot of people, when they go on X2, have dramatic effects. Some of them have a detoxing in 3 weeks. So talk to your healthcare provider, your practitioner. It is an element. And the government, in the 30s, there were so many mentally retarded people and low IQs, particularly in the Midwest, because there was not enough iodine in the fields, and they weren't eating seafood, that there were massive IQ reductions, all sorts of genetic disorders. So they mandated a low-grade form to be put in salt. IQs then went up on average 15 points, according to federal studies. Birth defects went way down. That is a fact. Since the 70s, they pulled it out, and they hammer you with the bad stuff. The fluoride, the chlorine, the hydrofluorosilicic acid, you name it. For yourself, for your children, for everybody. Take it slow. Take a half dose, in my view. That's my personal view. They demonize me selling toothpaste as fluoride free. They demonize me saying fluoride's bad. David Hogg says he sells water filters and claims you should filter your water. Well, only an idiot wouldn't filter their water. The point is that the globalists don't want you protecting yourself. So Survival Shield X2 is amazing. We're over a barrel with the oil companies that get it between 6,000 and 12,000 feet. So there's no contract now for this. When I say it's the last run, it could be 6 months a year until we get more. I hope we get more. This is the last run, it looks like. Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. BioTrue Selenium goes with it like a horse and carriage. Selenium is an electrochemical. It's needed as well in all activity in the body, particularly neurons. So these go incredibly well together. We have a combo of those. Just experience it for yourself. Why do you think they fear me so much? Very simple stuff. Filter your water. Yeah, I find myself selling water filters. It's the best out there for the price. Alexa Pure, all of it. The globals are so deceptive. David Hogg's like, he manipulates, he lies, he says, filter your water. Then he says, next, buy my water filter. No. I'm being a straight shooter. Alexa Pure Breeze, ProPure, or apples and oranges. They both cut stuff out 99.99%. If you're not filtering you and your children's water, you are insane. You know about the glyphosates and the 100+ million they just won? One black guy that got cancer from it? You understand that cancer goes up multi-1,000% after glyphosates are used in crops. The water table's filled with it and thousands of other chemicals on average. So again, ladies and gentlemen, you need to go see that for yourself. Average 4.8 stars. Some of those products are new. They have no reviews, but they're already top reviewed elsewhere. We buy whatever's top reviewed and then discount it. So Survival Shield X2 is really a game changer. It's available at InfoWarsStore.com. But get the other products. Get Brain Force. Super Male Vitality. It's cold pressed from known herbs and known organic compounds that don't mimic testosterone. From the research, they get your body to naturally operate. And very dramatic, works great. But again, I've been playing hardball with the cost of these products. So I've broken the contract with Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality. It's very high quality, works really great. People love it. But this is the final run of Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality, unless I get some better negotiations, because I want to be able to even lower the price even more. And it just is a lot of money goes into this, and it's worth it. It's just that I'm doing 50% off until it sells out. 50% off on Super Male and Super Female Vitality. We also have our Alpha Power that is amazing. That's even stronger, but it's from dry herbs, not the wet cold pressed herbs. So it's apples and oranges. Both are amazing. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. 50% off X2, 50% off Super Male Vitality. And whether it's the lung cleanse, or whether it's the Super Blue toothpaste, or whether it is the ultimate bone broth, nobody puts into products the amount of product we do. They sell at clinics. That's how I learned about this 5 years ago. That I talked to my dad and who's a doctor, and chemist, and developer, and others. They said, great idea. PQQ, CoQ10 is either synthetic or it's very low dose, $40 for a little bitty bottle of it. I said, why don't we get the real stuff that's organically produced? And why don't we, instead of having a 7-time markup, have 100% markup? And so, again, ladies and gentlemen, you can get DNA Force that is proven to be able to have nerve regrowth factor. Watch out if you've got anything old hurt in your body, though, like old hurt knee or whatever, because I had my finger been cut off years ago and it had been reattached, and the feeling never came back on one side. It came back after 3 months of DNA Force Plus. Now stronger, now with more PQQ and CoQ10 and even more. It is an amazing formula. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. 4.6 stars. It really is amazing. Check it out for yourself. And without you, again, we cannot fund this operation. You say some of the things I say are despicable. A few things I've said turn out to be wrong, and I'll admit my mistakes. But most of what you brought up when we talked on record and off record in D.C. last week are straw men. It's misrepresentations, just like they say Trump hates all Mexicans. No, he said a lot of criminals are coming across the border, rapists and murderers. He didn't say they were all rapists and murderers. So, again, it's misrepresentations of what they do.
Absolutely true on the Trump argument, but not true on your argument. I've heard you, Alex. In fact, the reason why we almost got in that fight, or that Twitter fight way back when, was when you were talking about the inside job that 9/11 was. And I will tell you, I watched the second plane fly into the building. I lost 16 very close friends in that World Trade Center. There is no way in the world that I think my government could be part of a conspiracy that would kill 3,000 Americans. Innocent Americans. It wasn't a wartime. It wasn't on the battlefield. These were innocent Americans going to work. Some of my close friends
government don't give a fuck about you.
And I want to be clear. I still don't buy this fact that the government
They only care about the money.
I'm not saying, just like there's rogue groups in the White House and rogue groups in the CIA fighting America that have been caught working with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and Trump says Obama and Hillary founded ISIS. That's true. John McCain was involved in that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, because I've been in New York and people say, how dare you say firefighters blew up the tower? I never said that.
I agree with Alex Jones that John McCain was there and did meet with some of the leaders of what would soon to become ISIS. I agree with you. But explain to me what proof in the world that you have that our government had somehow information that there was going to be 2 planes flown into our World Trade Center. You don't have any.
I get blamed for every conspiracy theory that some crazy person made up.
I didn't say. I said I do not agree with you that the U.S. government, someone inside the government, had knowledge of the terror attack prior to the attack.
Oh, really?
Nobody in our government, at least. And I don't think the prior government that could envision flying airplanes into buildings on such a massive scale.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that these people would take an airplane and slam it into the World Trade Center, take another one and slam it into the Pentagon.
But
That turns out not to be true. U.S. military planners did envision and practice those very scenarios. As reported by USA Today, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, conducted exercises with fighter jets, simulating hijacked planes flown into the World Trade Center in the 2 years before the attack. Pentagon planners also envisioned the attack on the Pentagon 5 months before it happened. According to this April 2001 Pentagon email, Air Force officials wanted a war game, having a terrorist group hijack a commercial airline and fly it into the Pentagon.
And I ask you whether you recall the title of that PDB.
I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States.
There were elements in our government allied with radical Islam that helped them carry out the attack. Just like they're covering up New Mexico.
Alex, you can argue whether or not America deserved it or not. I don't think
America deserved it. I'm saying the left is cheerleading it.
Wasn't your theory, Alex? Your theory was not only did America not deserve it, but the United States government knew about the attack prior to the attack and decided to stand down. A very different theory.
I don't want to spend all our time on 9/11. It's not that I'm running away from it. It's that the media misrepresents what I say about it. I believe Islamic terror and radical Islam is one of the #1 threats on the planet, probably #1. I know that there are criminals in our government like Brennan, who reportedly converted to Wahhabism. Obama helped launch the Arab Spring to overthrow our allies in Egypt, you name it. And I think that elements let this happen, like PNAC wrote, to let there be an attack to end up taking our liberties away. And I've got FBI was warned about flight schools. That's CBS News. FBI knew Al-Qaeda pilots were training in the U.S. ordered to stand down. ABC News. State Department lapses aided 9/11 hijackers. Then they had the airlifts of evil flying tens of thousands of Al-Qaeda fighters out. Our military was ordered to do it. I don't blame our military. They would say, oh, you hate our military. No, I love our military.
The bin Laden family was whisked out of the United States by President Bush himself right after the 9/11 attack, and they went back to Saudi Arabia, correct?
That's right.
When you had the World Trade Center go, people were put into planes that were friends, family, girlfriends, and they were put into planes and they were sent back for the most part to Saudi Arabia.
All I'm saying is there is a radical Islamic alliance with the left, and there are people in the government working to protect Islam. They got this imam that's connected to dozens of bombings. After 6 months, he's being released from British prison next week.
Well, you said some things that I agree with. I believe radical Islam is the greatest threat to the United States, our freedom, maybe even the globe. I'll agree with that.
Maybe the left's bigger, though.
Well, I think the left is a different type of threat, and it's a longer term threat where radical Islam could kill a lot of people real fast. And the left, it's going to take a while for them to take over and take away our liberties and freedoms.
But I think we can deal with a straight-on attack like radical Islam. It's the left creeping around.
I don't like them either. I'm on board with that.
Well, this is video on screen of them saying Building 7 has already fallen. Have you seen that video?
No.
And it's right behind her.
Well, I can't hear her.
Do you want me to play it for you?
Well, I'd like to hear her say it's already fallen. And by the way, Alex, anyone could throw a video, the picture behind it, a news person. That could be.
Well, she's saying Building 7 has fallen. They put the story out beforehand.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy.
We are getting information now that one of the other buildings, Building 7, in the World Trade Center complex, is on fire and has either collapsed or is collapsing.
You hear that? Keep your eye on that building. It'll be coming down soon.
They were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Well, pancaking almost like a precision implosion.
It's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
Let's just think about this. Controlled demolitions cannot be engineered and rigged in a day. It takes months. And therefore, this event must have been planned in advance.
Come on, boy. Keep your eye on that building. It'll be coming down.
building is about to blow up. Moving back, we are walking back. It's a building about to blow up.
Did they actually use the word brought down, and who was it that was telling you this?
The fire department, and they did use the word, we're going to have to bring it down.
And these people heard explosions.
We heard this sound that sounded like a clap of thunder. It looked like there was a shockwave ripping through the building, and the windows all busted out. About a second later, the bottom floor caved out. The building followed after that.
And I turned in time to see what looked like a skyscraper implosion. It looked like it had been done by a demolition crew. The whole thing just collapsing down on itself.
The government says that fire brought it down. However, 1,500 architects and engineers concluded it was a controlled demolition.
Over 6,000 of my fellow service members have given their lives, and thousands of my fellow first responders are dying. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a structural engineer. I'm a New York City correction officer. I'm an Air Force pilot.
I'm a father who lost his son.
We're Americans, and we deserve the truth. Go to rememberbuilding7.org today.
I was down there. One of the only people that weren't military in that area. There may be a handful of us, maybe 200-300 people max, trading oil because we had to stabilize the price of oil during that time. That whole area was unstable. They were worried about more than just Building 7. They were worried about some of the satellite buildings to the world. There were like 4 or 5 five-story World Trade Center buildings that were around. They were worried about those falling. The Brooks Brothers building, they were concerned that was going to go down too. There was mass fear, confusion going on. That is all land.
You're saying
that's all land.
So you're saying it's a false report?
No, it's not a false report. I'm telling you, I don't think that there was a conspiracy to blow up Building 7. For what reason?
Never in the history of the world, never in the history of high-rise skyscrapers has ever a skyscraper ever come down because of fire. And I'm talking massive fire. And you know the reason why? Because fire does not burn by itself hot enough to compromise and melt steel.
I happen to think that they had not only a plane, but they had bombs that exploded almost simultaneously, because I just can't imagine anything being able to go through that wall. To do that kind of destruction is even more than a big plane, because you're talking about taking out the heaviest caliber steel that was used on a building. I mean, these buildings were rock solid.
What we had in the World Trade Center, and I saw myself, was molten lava-like pockets of molten steel. All right, I spent the night on the pile searching for bodies, and I saw that with my own eyes. So who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe a bunch of government bureaucrats or my fellow brothers, which I lost 343 guys that day? And I lost Tommy O'Hagan, Bruce Van Hines, and Kenny Kumpel. And I can never forget that. I think of that before I go to bed. I think about it the first thing in the morning when I wake up. And it's in honor of them and their family that I will continue to do everything I can to make the rest of the world wake up to the fact that this was a false flag operation.
All right, welcome to the final hour of The War Room. I'm your host, Rob Dew. Joining me in the next segment will be InfoWars reporter Jake Lloyd to cover this article. Exclusive UT professor says, essential to view America through a Marxist lens. A look at college indoctrination in America. So we're going to get to that. Also, I'm going to have some vaccine news. There's a new flu test going on, and also some interesting stuff going on with one of our frequent guests, Dale Bigtree. And then I want to get into this social score in the final segment of the show. Of course, you know, we've been talking about the Chinese social score for a long time, but here we are back in August 21st of this year. InfoWars was right. Facebook using Chicom social score for users. Well, Apple is also going to be instituting the social score. And then there's private companies developing social scores to help you not pay things like deposits on apartments. And that's with the group Trayte, Trayte.com. And I'm just going to take you through their website. Somebody sent me this morning. This website must be shut down. You know, they have every right to operate, but people need to know what they're getting into and what stuff like this can lead to. But let's now go to this video from Campus Reform. Liberal students admit Trump is helping the economy. Well, that's not
I'm
very
Kelly Phillips from
Marxist.
Campus Reform. Today we're at Michigan State University talking to students about President Obama's comments saying that President Trump does not deserve credit for how well the economy is doing. What do students have to say? Let's find out. President Obama gave a speech this week in Illinois talking about how it's wrong for Trump to take credit for how well the economy is doing because it's still his economy. What are your thoughts on that comment?
He's been out for long enough now that it's not on him anymore. It's more on Donald Trump. So I guess he's a little bit in the wrong.
I would probably, unfortunately, side with Trump for this one. I think that he has done like a lot for the economy that Obama didn't do such a good job on. But yeah, so I guess I'll side with Trump on that one.
I feel like once a president's done, they hand it off.
I feel like all presidents do this. They'll sort of take credit for something that's happening down the line.
I think the underlying fundamentals are likely still largely Obama, but in terms of confidence and changing people's attitudes, I would say that's mostly Trump.
I kind of feel like everything's just like in like a
plateau.
not the market. The market is going way up. I mean, I just haven't really kept up with that, so I wouldn't really know too much.
Because of all the things I have issues with, the economy is not really one of them. It's more like foreign relations and just like public appeal and things like that. So of all, I think the economy is probably one of the things I think he's doing decently well at. He's a businessman. I think that's his strong suit. His tweets and stuff I find very offensive because I'm a girl, and a lot of them are against us. So,
got it.
But economically, I feel like he's really helping us.
I think when you're in the role as president of the United States, you're supposed to bring people together, not polarize them. But overall, yeah, he does definitely make some good deals.
And the way he goes about conducting his business, I don't agree with. But overall, I think he's going to do some good things.
I think he has done a good job as far as making new jobs and lowering the unemployment rate.
I think he should stay off Twitter, stop talking about things he shouldn't be talking about, become a little bit more well-mannered. But I do know for a fact that he's been helping a little bit, and we've been doing a lot better with the unemployment and everything. So from my perspective, I think he's doing okay with that.
I just feel like he doesn't really know how to run a country, I feel like
Things are going pretty well, though. Unemployment very low, GDP rates above unemployment rates. I'm glad to see that he's trying to bring stuff in-house and make it healthier in the long term. And you can join Owen Schroyer tomorrow, who's going to be launching a InfoWars Army offensive, a truth offensive, on the bridge, if you're in the Austin area, going over Riverside over I-35, where they'll be holding up signs talking about this Trump economy that people might not know about. And we'll see if we can get some honks for Trump. That'll be tomorrow. You can check out the article. If you guys have the article, we'll bring it up. If not, we'll show it next segment. But go to @InfoWars Army for all the details. @InfoWars Army on Twitter. And follow that account. You can get all the latest updates. We'll be right back after this with Jake Lloyd. Welcome back to the War Room. I'm your host, Rob Dew. Joining me is InfoWars reporter Jake Lloyd, who's also our liaison with University Wars, another little tentacle we're creating, unlike the tentacle that comes out of Tim Cook's mouth when he sees Oliver Darcy, but like a tentacle of information and truth. And speaking of Tim Cook, Apple will log about how many phone calls or emails you send to received your device to get a trust score. Trust
I wonder what they're going to do with that information.
Yes, we must.
Purely for benevolent purposes.
Can we trust you? Are you a person we can trust? In the new America. Now, we were talking, I was talking earlier about these Project Veritas videos, where it's these young idealistic kids who are all democratic socialists. We've seen there's more democratic socialists coming out of these schools. And why is that? Why is that, Jake?
Well, it's the programming that these kids have to endure in college, and it's not like a under the current. It's not an undercurrent. It's not a secret subversive thing. It's actually just being taught to them. I was talking to our UT associate. He is working with University Wars to send us footage and stuff. And when he was on the show with me, I talked to him, and he was talking about how he's in film classes. The first film class that he ever took, he had to read a book by Max Horkheimer, which is like the forefront, the forefront critical theorist, the actual cultural Marxist. And that's the first book that they ever get assigned in their film courses at the University of Texas. So it's not even a secret undercurrent.
How to be a good Stalinist.
Exactly. How to be a good little cultural communist. And so that's the kind of programming that they're dealing with. And this video that we have in this article, he sent us just a couple minutes. He got a whole hour's worth of content, and he just sent us a little 2-minute thing. He's going to clip it up further and give us the rest of it. But you have a student asking a question about how we should view the world through a communist lens, and the professor gives back a very, very interesting answer. So, you would think that that type of thing wouldn't be allowed, but I'm sure, I won't spoil it for the audience because I'm sure we're going to watch the video. But it's very, very concerning when you think about what these kids are being taught in college.
And this is just one professor in one school.
Yep.
And this is happening all over the place. We've seen it at Mizzou, where the lady said, I need some muscle to get this guy out of here. This man is in our safe space. We see safe spaces crop up everywhere. And this is all part of not looking at actual facts, but just everything is feeling based and feeling oriented.
Right.
Let's go to this video now. Exclusive to InfoWars.
How do you guys try to quote Marx, you quote Benjamin, you quote all these sort of leftist thinkers, and everything part of the communist movement or the communist party. I think with the school, in my experience, we talk a lot about intersectionality, but whenever it comes to that class piece, sort of that's a history that we don't teach. And I think the thing that I have experienced is that we also don't teach class, but we don't teach how class and issues of race and issues of gender sort of overlap and how they intersect in terms of the socialist feminist movement for like the Black Panthers and this sort of long, rich history. So I was curious for you and for us in this room, how important is it for you that there's specifically sort of a socialist or communist perspective on these issues whenever we're talking about labor organizing and the history of civil rights issues?
I think it's essential. To not have any kind of class analysis or analysis of capitalism and try to function in a capitalist society is really, I can't imagine how you understand what's going on without that. I think that probably social workers do deal with class in a way. I also think it's absolutely impossible to talk about class in this country without talking about race. And maybe gender. I'm kind of lagging behind on that a bit. But, I think that, it's essential that we see how the system.
So to wade through, so if you're not very familiar with like socialist and communist jargon, then it's kind of confusing to wade through. It's kind of like it's like overly academic and stuff. But basically, for anybody listening, what the student asked was, how are we supposed to view class? We talk about gender and race and these social constructs and different stuff. Intersectionality, how they, everything intersects. But what do we do about class? Like, should we focus on that? And she goes, oh, it's essential that we look at things, we have appropriate class analysis like Marx taught about. And then she says, that's the only way to understand what's happening in this capitalist society. So effectively what they're saying is the only way that you can truly understand how the world is working and what's going on in the world is for you to look at things through a Marxist lens. And the students don't just hear that they're being taught this cult mentality at first because it's wrapped up, like I said, in so much overly academic jargon that they don't understand it. It's just slowly inoculated into their brains that this is how you need to think in order to actually understand what's going on.
And this is the type of thinking that is pervasive in every type of class, but especially these social communication type classes, anthropology. And these are the people that are going out and working in Facebook and getting hired by Twitter. I think one of the new Reddit moderators who's killing off conservative pages comes from the same background of this anthropological bent that everything white is bad, everything male is bad, and that the only reason there's any goodness in the world is that we had communism at one point and we can get there again.
Right. And that's why things like film, like I mentioned earlier, why would film be wrapped up in communism? But it's because of the adaptation after the Soviet Union kind of collapsed. It wasn't what it needed to be in the Marxist eyes, so they created the Frankfurt School and all this cultural Marxism. That's what critical theory is. Critical theory can be applied to anything. That's why like film critics. They hate movies that most people would love. They hate American Sniper. They hate stuff that doesn't buy into their worldview and that's why it gets bad ratings. It's objectively an entertaining film, even though it's not necessarily factual on the Iraq War. It's objectively an entertaining film, but for some reason they come up with these reasons that it's bad. It's because critical theory can be applied to any and every subject. It just takes the Marxist ideology that there's oppressed and then there's oppressors, and it inserts that into whatever topic you're looking at.
And then notice how you have people like Jim Carrey who said, we got to stop thinking socialism is a bad word.
Mm-hmm.
While you have people like Maduro eating steaks while his people aren't even eating.
Right.
You have this, and there's your classes. There's your oppressed and your oppressors.
Mm-hmm.
And people follow him around this. All these other Hollywood stars, these celebrities get up there and push socialism left and right because they know they're going to be in that top oppressor class.
Mm-hmm.
They know they're going to be safe. So they're not worried about themselves. They want everyone else to be controlled and controllable and have no freedom and have no thought and have no movement. They want to be the only ones to have that. So they're loving this stuff that's being taught in the university.
Right. And it goes a lot deeper because obviously socialists and communists hate Trump for the obvious reasons. He's a capitalist. He doesn't believe in controlling the economy to get a desired result. But it goes deeper because you mentioned Venezuela. You look at Cuba.
Okay, what the hell's going on here? Playing these games with me. Come on. Okay, so it's Ron, not me.
Maybe we need to intervene in Cuba. It's because he knows these things.
And then you look at places like Brazil where they actually stabbed the guy who's they call him the Brazilian Trump.
Weird.
He got stabbed in the streets by some guy who claims, he got a message from God, and that makes it okay because somebody's crazy and they're a socialist to go stab somebody because they said, well, God told me to do it. So that's the insanity we're facing in this world. We're going to get into more of this on the other side of the break. I'm Rob Dewey. You're watching me with Jake Lloyd here on the War Room. Infowars.com/shows, the free stream to send out to everybody you know. All right, we're back on the War Room. Joining me is Jake Lloyd, Infowars reporter. Last segment, we were going over the Marxist bent, including a professor being caught on camera saying you just have to view the world through a Marxist lens. And before that, we played I thought it was a very enlightening video coming from Campus Reform, talking to people up in Michigan about Trump's work on the economy. And they had other disagreements with him, but they all seem to say, well, he's doing a good job on the economy. And no, I don't think Barack Obama is to blame for that. He is definitely, the credit goes to Trump, not to Obama.
And that's big. That's really big because if they're willing to admit that, then what do you think that the more center-left people are thinking? And the centrists and the center-right who maybe don't like Trump that much. I mean, Trump really is more center than anything. But in the modern current political spectrum, it's pretty far left. So if those people are thinking that, that's a pretty big deal because the economy is one of the main drivers that gets people to the polls when, if the economy's up, people are more likely to vote for that president. If it's down, they're going to vote against him. That's just how it goes. Yeah. Because most people,
economy and war.
Exactly.
If we're in a war, not like we're still in Afghanistan, but if we were in a new war, they'd be like, oh, we gotta keep him in there.
Those are the two things that people feel like actually affect them directly. So those are the two big things, and I think that's very telling for the 2020 election if things keep going in this direction.
And now we also have this news came out today from Zero Hedge. Trump delighted after North Korea pledges to dismantle key missile facilities. Many analysts wary of the North's sincerity until last nuke is removed from the country. So Kim Jong-un said he announced that he would allow international monitors to enter the country and observe the dismantling of North Korea's nuclear reactor in Yongbyon, its primary source of nuclear fuel, amid a raft of other bilateral promises, including plans for the North and South to field a joint team at the Tokyo Summer Olympics in 2020, while seeking a joint bid to host the 2032 Summer Olympics.
And the funny thing is, like a few days ago, there was an article in the news that was saying, like, the nuclear disarmament hangs in the balance, or it's dangerous, unlikely to happen, something like ahead of this meeting between North and South Korea. But here we see that it seems like it's going to go pretty well. That's a big deal for him to say, we'll let people in.
the Koreans seem to be really getting along fine, North and South. They're like, look, we're going to meet. They had the symbolic stepping over the demilitarized zone, crossing the line with Kim going to meet Moon, shaking hands and going in for meetings, and then President Trump coming in. You know, and people want this instant gratification. They think it's like opening up an app and going to Reddit. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not like a meme. Dismantling a nuclear facility takes time. It's not going, you know, it's going to take months. It's going to take years for this to happen. And of course, you know, those in the military industrial complex are saying, well, this isn't going to work. It's not happening. Right. You know, the second he mentioned it. So they're saying but you know, Trump's saying, no, this is good. He's being like the cheerleader. He's going forward and say, look, this can happen. We have to get behind both parties and help them and help it happen. But it's not going to happen overnight. And, you know, people on the left want to just say, well, it's not going to happen.
It's like the Berlin Wall coming down. First, you know, there's a very big, long buildup to the wall actually coming down. But even when the wall came down, it wasn't just all of a sudden communism was over, the Soviet Union was a free market. It didn't happen like that. It took a long time for free movement to actually be allowed and for the free market to take root in Russia. So exactly like you're saying, it just takes time. These type of things can't happen too fast, and it's good because otherwise, you know, imagine how easily the world could be destabilized if that were the case. You could just all of a sudden do something like that.
And, you know, people want to talk about North Korea's human rights record, which is dismal. We actually have more prisoners, people in jail, than North Korea. So we also ought to look at what we're doing and why do we have to have so many people in prison? Why do we have to have so many private prisons?
Right.
And why does it seems like everything that is against the pharmaceutical company gets you a prison sentence?
Curious.
Very curious. Then we have this article from The Hill. I guess on The Hill TV, they interviewed Trump, and he says, I don't have an attorney general. He actually said that. That's a quote.
Wow.
I don't have an attorney general. And I mentioned that before. It seems like Sessions is a blind mule walking through, looking, smelling, where's the marijuana? I got to get these marijuana smokers. And although he is doing a good job on MS-13 and going after them, I hear there's major breakthroughs going on there. Right. All throughout the country, we see the arrests, we see the pedophile rings being busted. So there it seems Sessions is doing a good job, but fake Russia collusion, any investigation into Hillary Clinton, we're not going to see it. Those types of things, the things that we really wanted to see, although I would say on the crime, he is going good except for marijuana smokers.
He's doing pretty good on like normal crime, but it's not like normal crime wasn't being prosecuted before, aside from illegal immigration or that kind of thing. But so we're prosecuting normal crime, but the people who are high up in these upper echelons of society are still getting away with their crimes effectively. And that's one of the main reasons that we wanted Trump to get elected. It was, you know, lock her up was a big deal, not just locking her up, but all of these people in the criminal cabal that occupies the high offices of our government. So I think that Trump needs to do that. That's a big reason that he was elected. And, you know, a lot of these QAnon people go crazy. They're like, oh, there's all these sealed indictments. Jeff Sessions is going to take Hillary down. He's going to take the Clinton Foundation down. That's not just wait. Just wait. It's all part of the plan. And what it really is, I don't know who said it to me, but it's really people that are not suited for this type of intense, trying to make things happen. It's much easier for them to just believe everything's taken care of. There's a plan. Nothing can go wrong. It's like, there might be a plan. Things rarely ever go according to plan.
Right.
So it's not all finished. You know, it's not over. It's not over until it's over. And that's what people need to realize.
And hey, if Sessions was being a sneaky guy and he's got these 50,000 indictments and they're going to drop them all at once and we're going to see a total change in the deep state, great. I'm all for it. I want to see it happen.
Right.
And my eyes don't believe it.
Yeah.
And Trump's eyes don't.
I've seen no reason to believe it. I've seen no reason to believe it. If it happens, then great. Like I'll be very surprised, very happy. I will apologize to Jeff Sessions for whatever it's worth. Sorry, I made fun of you, called you, a do nothing attorney general, but I haven't seen anything to suggest that's the case.
Until then, he is still a blind mule. Now, coming up next segment, I think I'm going to do, I'm not sure if I want to go with the vaccine news or this news coming out with the Apple going to track your calls and emails to give you a trust score. Facebook's giving you a trust score. China's already got a social credit score. This is where it's all going. And now there's private companies getting into the mix where they want to create trust. They want you to enter into the trust thing voluntarily the trust score system, and they're going to create a trust score. So there's going to be all these different trust scores going around, and which one will be the one that becomes the Rosetta Stone that everything is worked under, and how will it affect your life? Will you be able to travel? I mean, this just seems like it's rife with abuse. We've already seen what these companies do to people with their free speech.
Yeah.
They want to stifle it. They don't want you to get your message out.
It's the kind of the age-old thing, you know, the hardcore libertarians, it's like the government. We don't want the government to oppress people. But then, so it's okay to be oppressed by corporations. And that's kind of what you run into. It's like libertarianism is good to a degree. Just like you have to put some reasonability into it somewhere, because corporations are just as capable of oppressing people and imposing upon people as government if they have that power. So it's something we really need to worry about.
We definitely need to look at it. I've actually contacted the people at Trady saying, hey, come on for a debate, come on for an interview. Let's talk about this, because I don't think we want to go the way of China. I don't think anybody thinks China's way is perfect unless you're an authoritarian gulag lover, which I'm not. So we're going to talk about that on the other side. Thank you for watching The War Room. We'll be back after this short break. Infowars.com/show. We have here as saying in Infowars that we're tomorrow's news today. Here's an article from April. China assigns every citizen a social credit score to identify who is and who isn't trustworthy. Here's our article from yesterday from Kellen McBreen. Journalist unpersoned by Chicom social score. No travel, no property. See? They roll it out. Boom. They catch somebody in the dragnet. And this is Chinese journalist Louis Hua. He lives in the Orwellian Society, and where they go after you with things like bad driving, smoking in non-smoking zones, buying too many video games, and posting fake news online, all which can affect your social score negatively. And by 2020, they want to be able to track all of their 1.4 billion citizens, and they'll have a ever-changing social score that goes from 0 to 800. Who is an estimated example of one of the 10 million Chinese citizens with a bad rating after he was arrested and jailed for accusing a high-level official of corruption and for publishing details of misconduct by authorities on his popular website. He's been banned from traveling via airplane or train and has had his social media accounts suspended. Oh, kind of like Alex Jones. You know, they got rid of his LinkedIn account. They took him off all these social media platforms. Was still able to travel, but we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. You know, because now we have Facebook. Infowars was right. Facebook using Chicom social score for users. This was back in August 21st. But look at some of the headlines. 2015, before anybody was talking about this, before Black Mirror had an episode on it, coming to America, China introduces credit score for obedient citizens. Paul Joseph Watson, social isolation for people who express controversial opinions or dissent. Facebook is using it as rating users based on how trustworthy it thinks they are. Users receive a score from 0 to 1 that determines if they have a good or bad reputation, but of course it's completely hidden. Here we are back in 2014 of December. Zuckerberg lauds socialism with China's internet censorship czar. So Xi Jinping wrote a book called The Governance of China, and it was sitting on Zuckerberg's office desk. I bought this book for my coworkers. I want them to understand socialism with Chinese characteristics. And that's why big tech wants InfoWars banned, because they want the corporate message to be filtered through them, going out to you. And now Apple's getting in on the game. That's why they moved to China, essentially. So they're going to be monitoring your cell phone and email data in an attempt to combat fraud. So they said in their new privacy page, to help identify and prevent fraud, information about how you use your device, including approximate number of phone calls or emails you send and receive, will be used to compute a device trust score when you attempt to purchase. These submissions are designed so Apple cannot learn the real values on your device, and the scores are stored for a fixed time on their servers. And so where does this all lead? It leads to a group called Trady.com. All right, this is the simpering lisp of the velvet iron glove that is going to smash you if you have dissenting opinions. So we go to Trady, helping people trust one another. We gather all your reputation from different data sources so that you can control it, own it, and leverage the best ways to benefit you. Right, it's all about you. Let's go to the history of trust. Once upon a time, people in small tribes had to know and trust one another with a high degree of accountability. As cities became larger, people did not know each other and accountability was lost, leading to fraud and mistrust. In a world where we move, countries more than ever before, where we work as freelancers, trade with strangers, and make friends, we need to know who people are. And how do we do that? We build a network of trust. That's right. We're going to look at your social media accounts. We're going to analyze them on your behalf, giving you privacy while proving important things. We're going to have recommendations from other friends that have high reputations on Trady, sort of like a LinkedIn for trust. Together, we will build your reputation score and profile and be able to share and show to people and other companies that want to prove your trustworthiness. That's right. And we're going to build something they called a trust bond. They partner with some of the largest insurance companies in the world to launch Trust Bond. This is where they help you save money. Play that video on the side, but don't play the audio in it. Trust Bond helps people replace the rental deposit with trust. So if you're a tenant, instead of paying $2,000 up front to your landlord, who happens to be a white older male in this video, we can make it around $250 and we'll front the money to the landlord. So he'll get his $2,000, you'll pay us $250, and the trust bond happens. It takes Trady scores into consideration for eligibility. And if you're a reputed member of Trady, you can get a trust bond. There's the landlord who wants his fee for him and his little dog. But see, now we're going to go through all your tenant profiles. We're going to look at eBay, Uber, see what kind of a passenger you are in cars. And this is all just from other people's opinions, and we're going to mix it all together to create a trust score. And then what are we going to develop? We're going to develop a social credit score. Trady's social credit score is more human and outperforms traditional risk scores for different perils, particularly those with a high moral hazard. Traditional credit scores don't apply to everyone, especially migrants, students, or freelancers. This is going to give a fair treatment to those. Oh my God. And then they're going to have at the end, what facilitates all this? It's machine learning and blockchain credit scoring. That's right, buzzwords. We're going to help you with buzzwords. Our risk scoring is built upon machine learning and runs on blockchain, which means you can write a blockchain-based review through our APIs. Your customers can benefit from leveraging and portioning their scores, and it creates accountability loops that will reward customers having good behaviors when using your service. So see, it's all about how you act in this corporate paradigm. You don't say things that Facebook likes, you get a bad social score. Then that will filter down to your Trady score, which means you're going to have to pay a higher premium when you rent an apartment. Apple's also going to be looking at your behaviors to see whether you're a good or bad person, whether you can be trusted. It's all about control. And it's all about inching its way towards the China model, which China, they don't care what you think. They're going to put this anyway. So you've got your Chinese score, which is from 0 to 800, sort of like a credit score that you have now. And what does it lead to? It leads to a journalist who is exposing government corruption from high-level officials and publishing it on his website. He suddenly can't travel, can't get an apartment, can't use a train or an airplane, and his social media accounts get suspended. Now, what does that have to do with trust? Well, it's trust in the system. The system wants you to trust it and trust the information it pushes out. And if you don't, you're not going to be able to travel. You're not going to be able to have a social media account. You're not going to be able to rent an apartment. You're going to be one of the lower level scum. And that's how they want it. It's all going to be based on this Chinese model. That's why Facebook and Apple are all moving there. And that's why companies like Trady, which may be a good company, may be good people. But eventually, this type of technology is going to be used to implement a Chinese control grid here in the United States. That's what we're in store for. All right, final segment coming up. I'm going to get into some vaccine news, and I'm going to play a short video of someone who's worthy for the InfoWars Army. We'll get to that all after this break. You're watching The War Room. I'm your host, Rob Duke. Thanks for watching. Infowars.com/show is the free stream to send out to everybody you know. We'll be right back. Final segment of The War Room. Thank you for joining me today. I think we've covered a lot of ground of what's really going on in this country, especially with these social scores and what's going on with the FBI and DOJ trying to circumvent the will of the president. He just wants the information to get out. What do you got to hide, guys? But now let's go to some vaccine news. This first article is from Vaxxter. Pharma begins vaccine experiments on kids in St. Louis. So kids between the ages, you can get that title again there. Oh, you guys got it. Good. Kids between the ages of 9 and 17 are going to do some nasal flu vaccine experiments. So they got a new flu. It's like a flu mist, but this is a new one. I love this quote, though. We are hopeful that newer kinds of influenza vaccines, such as the candidate being testing in this trial, will provide protection even if their components do not precisely match the currently circulating influenza virus strains, said Dr. Fauci. So the experiment requires that 15% of the kids receive a real nasal flu vaccine while others receive a saline solution. And all the participants are going to get an intramuscular injection of the licensed quadrivalent seasonal influenza vaccine. Quadrivalent. That's 4 different strains they're going to pump into you and give you this other nasal flu mist. Well, some type of flu mist. And the study aims to discover if the combination of these vaccines increase immunity. Yeah. How well did it help this kid? Utah mom says healthy 19-year-old son died from flu shot. Wow. Well, these are kids 9 to 17. Hopefully none of them die in this experiment. But here, this poor lad here, Chandler Webb, went into a coma. His mom said he just got a flu shot the week before. He was rushed to the hospital. And he was going on a mission on October 16th. And he got the shot. Then he was sidelined with headaches and vomiting far beyond normal flu-like symptoms that sometimes accompany the flu shot. In fact, Department of Health spokesman said this is like many other medical procedures, there can be side effects and adverse reactions, like death, I guess. Occasionally, yes, there are more severe side effects from receiving the vaccine. The number is generally low. Some 140 experience serious side effects of the 130 million who get the flu shot each year. So a week after getting it, he was delirious from sickness and he went to the hospital, fell into a coma, and died. So be aware, parents that are going to turn your kids into little human guinea pigs for Big Pharma. They're going to give them 4 different flu shot strains and then a nasal flu shot. I guess you can't say it's an injection. It's more like a snort. Beware if you're going to put your kids into that. Now, I want to go to this short video. A man rushed onto the stage of a second congressional district debate. This is also in Utah. And this is what he had to say. Here's the video.
Grateful for. Look at the firefighters here in Utah.
Vaccines cause autism.
Hey, please, sir.
Autism.
Can we get security? Sorry, Congressman.
How dare you jump up and say 9/11 was an inside job during the Super Bowl, which that reminded me of. So it turns out the man was Corbin McMillan. He was arrested by Dixie State University police on suspicion of disorderly conduct and disrupting a meeting, both misdemeanor crimes. This is an article out of Fox 13. So he jumped up and said, vaccines cause autism. Autism is caused by vaccines. Be interesting to see what Corbin McMillan's history is. We have yet to hear from him. So the Congressman Stewart, he told reporters he was not afraid. He said, what could he do? I had all these officers around me. They were going to protect me. And the man didn't do anything threatening towards the congressman. He just wanted to get the word out about vaccines. Now, another person getting the word out on vaccines is Del Bigtree. He's been a host or a guest here. I've interviewed him extensively in D.C. about vaccines. Here's an update on the ICANN versus HHS key legal win recast vaccine debate. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has admitted that in direct violation of federal law, it has failed to provide a single vaccine safety report to Congress for 30 years, according to the Informed Consent Action Network, or ICANN. ICANN sought copies of these reports that they're supposed to release every 2 years, starting in 1988, detailing improvements that it's made to vaccine safety. ICANN was represented by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. HHS spends billions annually promoting vaccines and generating a steady stream of reports promoting vaccines, Bigtree said. Del Bigtree is the host of the show Highwire. Yet, when despite federal law, HHS cannot bother to complete the simple task of preparing its biennial report on vaccine safety. So how can they, if they can't even put the report out, how can they talk about improving vaccine safety? So since 1986, the U.S. government has been paying for vaccine injured children to the tune of $3.9 billion for serious vaccine injuries. And that doesn't even go into the process that it takes to get a payment from the federal government. You think it's easy? No. The $3.9 billion represents a small percentage of the people that have brought cases to the vaccine court. And here's another Bigtree story. Jenny McCarthy is going to go back on out into the public eye again, talking about vaccines. So is RFK Jr., among other luminaries, going on his show this week. So I encourage you to check it out. It's actually streaming live on, it looks like, was it Thursday? Yeah, today at 2 p.m. Eastern. So you could probably find the replay of that on YouTube. Jenny McCarthy, mother of a formerly autistic son, she claims she's cured his autism through diet and other what do they call it when you're taking the metals out of your body? Somebody look that up. There's a term for that. It's something else. It is a form of detoxing, but it's particular to metals, getting heavy metals out of your system. So she's returning to the public stage. Also, J.B. Handley, a Stanford-educated entrepreneur and author who penned the game-changing book, How to End the Autism Epidemic, which compiles new scientific studies about vaccines and includes court documents which reveal details of the DOJ's handling of recent cases. Also, Rolf Hazelhurst, Assistant District Attorney General of Tennessee and father of an autistic child. So what happens is these people in the system, their kids start to get these types of symptoms, and then you start seeing a real change once it starts hitting the system. Whose 2009 landmark vaccine injury case against the U.S. government set a precedent for every future case. He's currently pursuing a new suit to overturn the DOJ's judgment in the landmark case, saying, I put 7 people in prison on far less evidence. And Robert Kennedy Jr., fresh off the landmark win, the $280 million win against Monsanto's product Roundup, now focusing on his attention as an advocate in the Hazelhurst case. So all these people are going to be appearing on Del Bigtree's show, Highwire, which I encourage you to check out because he does an amazing job at putting the vaccine debate out in the forefront, which is where it should be, because people want to make jokes about it and say, ha, 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 people who are against vaccines are idiot Luddites. No, there's a lot of concern out there, and people who do the research and do the due diligence end up seeing, whoa, there is something to this skepticism from parents, especially parents who have injected their kids and then watched them die, which we just saw the article from the Utah mom who's a healthy 19-year-old boy suddenly dies after getting the flu shot. We need to wake up. We really need to test these things. And our government isn't giving us the information. We have to sue the government to get the Health and Human Services to do something they've been supposed to be doing for 30 years. Why can't we have the information? It has to do the same thing with the DOJ going to try to redact some of this information that Trump wants to put out in front of the American public. We are smart enough to make our own decisions if we're given the proper information. That is why we are here, to try and give you that information. Don't forget, you can go to InfoWarsStore.com and check out some of the great deals we have, and it supports everything we do here. The crew out there, the more shows we're putting together, the trips we go on to get you the truth. And right now we have 25% off our final run of X2. This is it. 25% off, and it's about to go back up to full price. Also, 50% off Super Male, Super Female Vitality, 40% off BioTrue Selenium, and I think we have a little deal there with BioTrue Selenium and Survival Shield. When taken together, they really do work in synergistic form. And that is all the time we have today. So don't forget to go to InfoWarsStore.com, check out what we have. Also, $50 off Alexa Pure Breeze air filters. Check out the water filters. It is Preparedness Month. Spread the word, Infowars.com/show. They can't stop it because it's our own website. We put out our own streams and nobody can stop them. So check that out. And we'll see you next time, Info Warriors. Don't forget, Owen Schroyer is going to be doing a big call to action tomorrow. Check it out at InfoWars Army.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the Info War.
All right, we've got big news coming. Alex Jones is going to be joining us on the other side of this segment. But first, what's going on right now to stop Judge Brett Kavanaugh from getting on the Supreme Court is really next level. And it needs to be highlighted, the hypocrisy and the lies coming out of the Democrat Party. Here's John Bound with his report.
The self-righteous Democrats have managed to, at the very least, stall potential Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is pushing for an FBI investigation into the allegations made by Christine Blasey Ford, claiming that she was sexually assaulted by Kavanaugh at a high school get-together.
FBI should be given time to reopen its background check investigation into Judge Kavanaugh, to speak to any potential witnesses or other relevant individuals and update its analysis.
However, Ford is stalling on answering to testify.
Are you saying there has to be an investigation by the FBI or else Professor Ford will not testify?
What we're saying is that there should be an investigation because that's the right thing to do.
If there's not an investigation, would she appear on Monday?
She is prepared to cooperate with the committee and with any law enforcement investigation. And that has been her position, and it continues to be her position. So she will cooperate with the committee in whatever form that takes. And it remains to be seen. We have to talk with Senator Grassley's office and the other committee members to determine what form that will take.
While Mark Judge, Kavanaugh's high school friend and only witness to the alleged assault, flatly refuses to testify. And even Dianne Feinstein, the senator responsible for entering the allegations into the nomination process, has her doubts.
No one called her or called her lawyer. My understanding is she got emails. I have no say. I'm the lead Democrat, so this is all up to the Republican side. I can't say everything's truthful. I don't know.
In the midst of all this, Senator Mazie Hirono made this declaration.
I expect the men in this country and the men in this committee, and many of them, believe me, because we all signed on to this letter to demand an FBI investigation. But really, guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. Do the right thing for a change.
Granted, it's a wee bit dogmatic when blanketed on the entire U.S. male population, but when applied to Congress, well, Congress is a different story. Congress thinks we have forgotten the secret taxpayer-funded nest egg to quietly pay off sexual assault accusations it gave itself back in 1995. It is arrogantly known as the Congressional Accountability Act, intended to hold congressmen and women accountable to sexual harassment claims. The fine print in the law actually insulates the accused from embarrassment. USA Today reported, to file a complaint, employees must go through a 90-day mandatory dispute resolution process, the first step of which is counseling for the accuser. Yes, you read that correctly. The alleged harasser isn't forced to get counseling. The victim is. Outside Congress, workers with claims can file a lawsuit in federal court whenever they want. But if they work for Congress, failure to follow these procedures may jeopardize any claims raised under the law. And since 1997, 17 million tax dollars have gone to pay off the victims of Democrats like John Conyers, Al Franken, Robert C. Scott, and Reuben Cahune. Of course, there were Republican predators too, but I mentioned the Democrats because they are currently using their exclusive legislative power to smear a qualified Supreme Court justice nominee with evidence that even they admit is questionable, while simultaneously presiding over a rigged sexual assault payoff system, funding their crimes with our tax dollars, and insisting an outright biased FBI do their dirty work. Meanwhile, the House and Senate are in gridlock over updating what should be now known as the Congressional Unaccountability Act. It is hypocrisy at the highest level. John Bound reporting.
I wanted to start this Wednesday broadcast off today before we hand the baton to Owen Schroyer and the rest of the crew for a jam-packed transmission, pointing out that rarely do you see a 5-minute piece anywhere on television or listen to it on radio where it's really all out of the park, dead-on information. And I said about my own broadcast, when you hear a 5-minute breakdown that really is like a hole in one, you need to recognize it. And Ann Coulter on Tucker Carlson last night was just such a 5 minutes. She encapsulates everything that's happening with Kavanaugh into 5 minutes. And the big takeaway is this: you can accuse anybody you want of some unprovable, unverifiable crime in modern America if they're a white male. And that we're not just talking about Democrats running the country, but the most crazed, factionalized, power-tripping, loserville CNN that is a weaponized criminal intelligence agency, working with leftist elements of the CIA and the whole project that Obama launched before he left office. And, you know, I say that, and it sounds so fantastical. I have to step back, but that's really what they've done. And when you look at what a bunch of stupid wimps these people in dying media are, and how they're interfaced with a bunch of power-tripping leftist intelligence ops in the CIA and the FBI, with all these little criminal networks that Obama and Hillary left behind, it's just such a crime. It's such a cabal of dirtbags. And the only thing I've got to say is I understand Tucker Carlson wants to take the super, uber, ultra high road and say, oh, this lady, you know, she's a great lady. You know, she's a leftist foaming at the mouth, anti-man professor who expunged her records before launching all this. And you've got the whole train of people that have been caught for political purposes saying that something was done to them, or for racial purposes. I mean, people forget the lacrosse team and how the media knew it was a lie but went with it forever because it's a bunch of white guys and a black woman, so the image is, you know, of evil. Instead, it was the opposite. You know, why did the mainly white lacrosse team, you know, get a black stripper? You know, everything gets projected and turned into something evil because the globalists want racial division, and it's in the WikiLeaks that they're doing this. This is their plan. This is their operation. And you've got all the other women that are constantly getting caught, and you've got law enforcement reports confirming in Europe and the U.S. that upwards of half of sexual assaults are fake, unless it's Islamic. You've got multi-1,000% increases in rapes and acid attacks, in women being kidnapped, little girls, true wide-scale organized crime, total cover-ups, everything they can do to, you know, if a young girl gets kidnapped, raped by 100 men when she's 12, they call it, oh, the young girl had sex with 100 men. So, again, the left bending over backwards and then sexually abusing little girls and little boys with the whole trans teaching, where they're going in and sexualizing young children and manipulating them into wanting to be castrated chemically or physically. And again, this is the assault. So the group of people and the organization in Hollywood and the corporate media like CNN that takes billions of dollars from Gulf state dictators on record. They are the worst people in the world. It'd be like Jeffrey Dahmer doing a PSA against cannibalism. He's a cannibal. It doesn't hold water. Or Hitler, sitting as the judge in the Nuremberg trial over the Nazis. But let's go to this important report. If this woman is for real, she's that blip on the radar of someone that is, and then it's 36 years ago, and her eyewitness says it didn't happen. The eyewitness says it didn't happen. I mean, this is incredible. And then you've got Feinstein saying she doesn't know if it's all true. This is unbelievable. So you talk about witch hunt. This is just an expansion to that. No, remember the Russia thing went nowhere. That turned into, not paying your taxes? All right, folks, let's go ahead and go to this very, very important piece. And then there'll be a lot more coming up with Owen Schroyer and more today. Infowars.com, newswars.com, the most banned, most verboten, most attacked transmission in the world for good reason. But thanks to you spreading the URL, Infowars.com and newswars.com. With God's help, we are unstoppable. We work together. God bless you all. Now, here's the piece with Tucker Carlson and Ann Coulter.
We're in Washington right now. I've been here all my life, and I can say I've never seen this city crazier or more paranoid or more tense or more dumb. Here's an example. 3 years ago, Brett Kavanaugh made what was obviously a joke about his time in high school. Here it is.
Unfortunately, we had a good saying that we've held firm to this day, as the dean was reminding me before the talk, which is what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. That's been a good thing for all of us, I think.
Yeah, so he's obviously admitting a felony sex crime there. No, it was a joke, and it's clearly irrelevant to what we're talking about today, but don't tell the more literal-minded, humorless members of the Senate. How about Elizabeth Warren? She tweeted this: I can't imagine any parent accepting this view. Is this really what America wants in its next Supreme Court justice? If you can even imagine texting something like that or putting it on Twitter, mindless. Ann Coulter is a writer, author of Resistance is Futile, How the Trump-Hating Left Has Lost Its Collective Mind. As if she needed another example of it, she joins us tonight. So what do you make of the fact, I was trying to get a straight answer from our last guest, and I'm not sure what I even think of it, but what do you make of the fact that Dianne Feinstein is saying, I'm not sure I believe Christine Ford now?
Well, Dianne Feinstein has always been one of my favorite senators, Republican or Democrat. I was sort of surprised she was the one who held on to this letter. I don't think the big issue is that it's the 11th hour. I think the big issue is last week we started getting polls showing the Democrats have a shot at taking the Senate. They really want to stop this nomination. It's been kind of hilarious listening to the Democrats, on the New York Times editorial page, and Schumer and Blumenthal. We need a major FBI investigation. As you point out, there's nothing to investigate. They want to appoint a blue ribbon commission, and maybe, they'll wrap up their work sometime next February. It really is just purely for delay.
So can I ask, why not an independent counsel? And he can take maybe 4 or 5 years to get to the bottom of this. Why would the Republic look this? I am giving everybody every benefit of every doubt. I'm not attacking Ford, who, again, as I said last night, I've heard is a nice person. But this is a political tactic designed to prevent the president from putting his nominee on the court. Why are Republicans in the Congress playing along with this?
I think some of them, and this is the only thing that I think makes it dangerous for Republicans, for Kavanaugh, and for the Republic, because there are certain Republicans in the Senate who so hate Trump. They would put their egos above the good of the country. And what so many Republicans said about voting, and every 4 years say about voting for any Republican, we have to do it for the Supreme Court nominees. No, maybe not for Ben Sasse, maybe not for Senator Bob Corker. They just so hate Trump. That could end up hurting Kavanaugh. But I think your point that if they get away with this, then you have CNN running the country. It's not even just the Democrats running the country. It's the media running the country, because this allegation could be made against anyone at any time. Absolutely non-disprovable. The New York Times, I wanted to mention, since you cited Teddy Kennedy, one of the great things in the New York Times editorial on this case was to say that things were totally different in the 1980s. That's why this woman, Dr. Ford, didn't report it at the time, because you remember the 1980s, Tucker. You used to be able to, there was sexual assault like mad every place. Their proof of this, that women weren't taken seriously in the 1980s, was to link to an article in the Washington Post citing the New York Times mistreatment of the accuser of William Kennedy Smith. So yes, the Kennedys, they've always had free reign to rape, murder, and the New York Times would go after the accusers. But that's really what the division is here. This isn't a new thing. As long as you are a presumed white male Republican, whether it's the Duke Lacrosse case or, oh, that dastardly Haven Monahan in the Rolling Stone story about the frat boys gang raping the gal. The whole thing turned out to be fake. There is no Haven Monahan. Or now a lot of the statements about Brett Kavanaugh, like from Krugman, oh, he's smirking, and a lot on Twitter and elsewhere. Oh, he's a white male, his white privilege. If you fit the narrative, you are guilty, and there is no coming back from that. And it's not just Democrats and the media running the country. It's any white male can be accused with an evidence-free accusation.
Well, you shouldn't
like
judge people on the basis of their immutable characteristics.
All right, welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Let me know what, let me allow you to know what's coming up here today. Joey Gibson is going to be joining us at 1 o'clock Central. And Roger Stone is going to be joining us in the 4th hour, and we may also have another guest with some breaking news today. But I'm going to hold off on that for now because I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. But there's about to be some big news developing on a certain front today. It actually ties into the Kavanaugh hearings, which I've got a lot more news on. We've got some clips that I want to get to. It's really madness, though, what they're doing to Brett Kavanaugh right now in the Supreme Court hearings, where they'll make one woman will make up allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, and the entire Democrat Party will get on board. Now, how many people have come out from Brett Kavanaugh's high school and talked about these allegations and talked about Brett Kavanaugh? Do you know how many? Actually, the number is 200. 200. Do you know how many of them are making any sort of negative comments about Brett Kavanaugh? One. And who do the Democrats listen to? Who does the media give all the attention to? Not the 200. The one. Pull up the news story, guys. 200 women from Brett Kavanaugh's high school signed a letter talking about how he never behaved like this. He was always in control, always a good guy. Never would he do anything like that to a girl in high school, ever. Signed by 200 women in his high school. Now, I realized this the other day. I can't even remember what broadcast it was on. The reason why President Donald Trump selected Brett Kavanaugh is because he was the purist. He had the best record. He was untouchable. He was the good guy. Now, were there some negative things about... There's a story, guys, it's up to 200 women now. He came from the Bush administration, maybe some of the politics you don't like, there's all that. But see, Trump got it. And he said, I have to pick the purest guy because I know they're going to be attacked. It was 200 supporting her. I could have sworn I saw one that had 200 supporting him. Well, whatever. The whole thing is just out of control. But her own lawyer comes out and says she doesn't have to corroborate her story. And listen to the lengths of craziness that they're willing to take this, guys. Let's go to clip 9. Listen to, this was actually from Hannity, but it was a clip, I believe, from MSNBC and CNN. Just listen to what these people are saying about the woman's claims against Kavanaugh. You'll notice how they don't care if they're true or not. Roll clip 9.
You have no knowledge whether Brett Kavanaugh
It doesn't matter. I believe Christine Ford.
It doesn't matter.
No, because when you to come forward. She has there's no enticements for her to come forward.
By the end of the week, if Judge Kavanaugh decides he doesn't want to go through this, it isn't worth it. He doesn't want to, maybe he can win, but he doesn't want an asterisk. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he chose to withdraw and chose to back down.
The reality is, I see it right now, probably this nomination is cooked. And is he willing to accept that when the time comes and withdraw it? Or not?
We need to judge Brett Kavanaugh not just on what he may or may not have done, but how he treats a woman's pain. And that is something I'm going to be paying attention to on Monday. How does he respond to what is happening, whether or not he agrees that this happened with her?
Are you hearing these people? Whether or not it happened or not doesn't matter. It's about how he feels about a woman's pain. Well, wait a second. What if she's making it up? So now, according to their logic, you can make something up and then have fake pain because of your fake story. And if somebody doesn't feel bad for you, well, they're the bad guy. They're the jerk. They can't be on the Supreme Court, you see? We're the Democrats. We're the leftist media. We've decided this nomination is cooked. Brett Kavanaugh's a rapist. No evidence. Doesn't matter. She hasn't corroborated her story. She doesn't have to. The only eyewitness says it didn't happen. It doesn't matter. Don't you care about a woman's pain? But what if she's making it up? But her pain. And so they use this now to keep a man off the Supreme Court, to stop the Democratic Republic of the United States of America from working. And Dianne Feinstein should be charged with obstruction of justice when she withholds this fake letter for 20 days, waits for the hearings to end, and then sends it out there so the media can run with headlines, they can attack and a character assassinate Kavanaugh. And then what does Dianne Feinstein say? Well, we don't know that any of this is true. Well, then why did you put it out there, Congresswoman? Oh, because you wanted the media to destroy Brett Kavanaugh. You wanted this fake story to destroy Brett Kavanaugh. Maybe you should be censured. Maybe all of these Democrat congressmen and women are the ones that are cooked, MSNBC. Maybe you're cooked, MSNBC. Of course, you are cooked. You're cooked because nobody watches you. And you're cooked because your stories are fake. Your stories are cooked. And everybody sees who you are now when you're so pathetic that you fake hurricane coverage. Unbelievable. And so that's what we go through. Now, I also plan on opening up the phone lines, and I'm going to try to actually get to this news in the next segment. But folks, InfoWarsStore.com is what makes everything possible. And you've seen what you have done with your support at InfoWarsStore.com. And we've got big specials going right now. 25% off Survival Shield X2. This is the last run of Survival Shield X2. So take advantage while supplies last. And then once we get lower numbers of what we have left here, the 25% is going to be lifted. So that probably makes it through this week, maybe this weekend. The 25% off, that is. And then next week, I would guess Survival Shield X2 is back at full price. But read the thousands of 5-star reviews for yourself. It's Survival Shield X2, nascent iodine. It is a game changer. It is a life changer. If you haven't tried it yet, now is the time. Detoxify your body from the fluoride with the good halogen, nascent iodine. It's Survival Shield X2, 25% off while supplies last. This is the final run of one of our top selling, if not our top selling, most popular product of all time, Survival Shield X2, and it's a last run offer. So take advantage, 25% off, final run. It goes into the history books. It goes into the Hall of Fame, the greatest of all time. Survival Shield X2, retired after this final run. Get yours today at InfoWarsStore.com. All right, I need to get focused now, and I'm going to. Batten down the hatches. We're going to get to some of this news. Joey Gibson's coming up at 1 Central to talk about the Free Alex Jones rally that I need you at on Saturday to stand up for free speech, to stand up for Alex Jones. I'll be there. A lot of other great people will be there, including Joey Gibson. He joins me at 1. Now, here's the deal, folks. A lot of people are wondering what is up with the InfoWars Army. Well, the InfoWars Army is you. So if you're asking yourself that, just answer it yourself, because you are the InfoWars Army. But I am putting out an InfoWars Army call to action and rendezvous point tomorrow at 5 o'clock in Austin, Texas. Now, my plan is to stand above a busy bridge here in Austin, Texas, that I'm about to announce the location. And I have 6 signs that say, under President Trump, record job growth, record economic growth, record GDP growth, record low unemployment, honk for Trump. We're going to stand there from 5 to 6 in the middle of rush hour, maybe a little longer, in downtown Austin, Texas. I'm about to announce the bridge, and I need you there, the InfoWars Army. This is our rendezvous. I already got a couple people confirmed, but I want you to be there. We need to stand together. We need to show strength in numbers, and then people are going to wonder, hey, what's going on? They might come start talking to you. Then maybe they're curious about some stuff. Who knows? Maybe you changed a vote coming up here from Robert O'Rourke to Ted Cruz, who has a great voting record. Who's Robert O'Rourke? Oh, Beto. Well, how come they call him Beto? Oh, because they have this slick way of pretending someone's a minority when they're not, so that you vote for them. It's a Democrat tactic, you know. It's like stolen valor from minorities is what they do. So they make minorities this position of valor, and then they steal their valor by faking being minorities, like Elizabeth Warren claiming she's an Indian. See how that works? Like Rachel Dolezal claiming she's black when she's white. You see how that works. The list goes on. So here is the rally point. Tomorrow in Austin, Texas, I will be there with signs, live streaming the InfoWars Army rally point tomorrow, 5 o'clock Central in Austin, Texas, is the Riverside Bridge over Highway 35. The Riverside Bridge over Highway 35 in Austin, Texas at 5 o'clock tomorrow. I will be live streaming. That is part of the InfoWars Army. So come out tomorrow as part of the InfoWars Army. I will be there live streaming with signs from 5 Central to 6 Central on the Riverside Bridge over Highway 35. And if you're in Nashville, Tennessee, or Oregon, or New York, or Florida, you just mock up your own sign and go stand on the busiest bridge during rush hour. Say, honk for Trump. Say, free Alex Jones, whatever you want. And here's what I've learned too. You can actually organize yourselves. Now, I planned on doing this all myself, but I realize I can't do it. Use the hashtag InfoWarsArmy on Twitter to organize yourselves. What am I talking about? Let's say you're in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you for pulling the map up there, guys. Let's say you're in Nashville, Tennessee, and you're looking for fellow InfoWarriors, fellow InfoWars Army members who want to go out and hold up a sign tomorrow or go to an event. You go on Twitter, you say, hello, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I want to do this tomorrow. I'm part of the hashtag InfoWars Army. So then you search hashtag InfoWars Army, and you go through all of the tweets and you find someone in your area and you say, oh, hey, look, this guy's in Nashville. And you tweet to them and you get in touch with them. Or, oh, hey, this guy's in my city, here in Springfield, Missouri. And so you get on there, all right, now you're in touch with them. So you can use these tools to organize yourselves. So I just want people, any question that you want to ask me or ask someone about the InfoWars Army, simply ask yourself and be the answer. So tomorrow, pull up the map again, guys. And here's the other thing that you need to do, since we're banned on YouTube, and you're already doing this. Take the videos I do with calls to action for the InfoWars Army and put them on YouTube. So people are putting up YouTube channels and taking every video I put up from the InfoWars Army, and they get more views than I can get on my accounts. They get tens of thousands of views. So that's how you amplify the message. That's how you do it. That's how you take action. So there's the bridge I will be at tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central, InfoWars Army Rally Point, the Riverside Bridge over Highway 35 in Austin, Texas. We're going to hold up signs showing our support for Donald Trump, and we're going to gauge the reaction and we're probably going to get local news to come out and cover it. And then if you have 10 cities, 20 cities, 30 cities that all did it in the same day, you just created a national news story. That's how we roll. You know what? I don't need to pay you like George Soros pays off all of these Kavanaugh protesters. I don't need to be part of some left-wing, under-the-table, funds the Democrats, fake news, colluding with the media, smear campaign against Judge Kavanaugh to try to impact change in this world. I just need to go out and be real and put my messages out there and put the truth out there. And that's how you win. But if we don't fight, then we lose. So, having said that, let's see what we have here. Oh, you know what? Let's just play this clip because I was upset to see that this barely made news last night. And I mean, again, I don't think that most people at Fox News are bad. The only person I think, I mean, who knows what's in Shep Smith's head, but like overall, I think most of them just read teleprompters and just enjoy sitting down and chopping it up and getting going home. Tucker Carlson fights to get information out there, fights to expose the left. Sean Hannity tries to be as informative as possible. Laura Ingraham really is not afraid to speak her mind. And then like Lou Dobbs is great on Fox Business. I think Kat is fine too. And there's some other people, but I mean, it's pretty much really watered down. Why didn't this clip from Project Veritas exposing the deep state go totally viral? Now I understand the audio is bad. I don't care. I'm rolling it because everyone needs to see this clip, and it's just the beginning, folks. And hold the music here, guys. Roll clip 15, the short boil down of the Democrat exposing himself, talking about how they'll obstruct anything when it comes to the Trump administration. This should be totally viral, and Project Veritas has a lot more coming out. Just listen to this video from Project Veritas. So this is the intro, the new intro James O'Keefe put together. What a badass.
And then there's a lot of talk about like how you can resist from the inside.
Resist from the inside.
I'm a paralegal at the Department of Justice.
Oh, this is the new one. Oh, this is the new one. I haven't even seen this one yet. This one came out today. Hold on. Pause it. Okay. I didn't realize this was the new one. I apologize. So yesterday, Project Veritas releases the Resist Everything video. Now you have the Department of Justice official released today. Resist everything from the inside. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this was a new one. Go back.
Great. And then there's a lot of talk about like how you can resist from the inside. Yeah. And there's like a lot of like, I would say that. Like it's kind of what the video did.
Oh, we can't get fired. We're federal employees. We have to resist from the inside. Allison Harbar, Department of Justice.
That means what they're doing means that people are going to be able to stay on food stamps.
Which is interesting. So they're fully politicized, folks. They're admitting how they're fully politicized.
There's like a level of resistance.
Jessica Schubert, also from the DOJ. Resist from the inside. People are criminals, man.
Friend nailed you. The
criminals
was about to come into effect. The policy was
it was the policy that allows the work requirement
for
allows states to require Medicaid beneficiaries to work.
So Project Veritas is just exposing the deep state they said didn't exist. Oh, but then they published the New York Times story. You know why? Because they knew these videos were about to come out and they wanted to expose themselves before James O'Keefe exposed them. Folks, they are fully exposed. We cannot let this continue. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I need to finish up with this Kavanaugh news in this segment. And then in the next hour, I need to highlight the big plans for censorship, how they're going to use Chinese censorship, and then roll it out here once these social media companies and tech giants have been fully integrated into the Chinese government. But we're going to do that in the next hour. In the meantime, let's just go through all of this Kavanaugh madness so we can just get this off the docket, no pun intended, and move forward. Because there's other big news I want to get to too, and I'd love to open up the phone lines before I sign off here today. So, you heard the clip Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, the Democrat, saying men just need to shut up, get out of the Kavanaugh accuser's way, and you have to believe her. Now, look, I get that these women hate men or whatever it is. It's a political stunt for them, or to talk down to men. They think it gets them votes or something. Okay, fine, but whatever. I don't even care as a man. You can hate me, talk me down. Honestly, I don't give a damn. It shows who you really are. But here's the scary thing about it. What they're saying is that you have to believe a woman who makes any accusation. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter how many women have been caught faking stuff. Doesn't matter how many women have made up things about men. I mean, you look at a history of divorce court. So many times in divorce court, women all of a sudden claim their husband, ex-husband raped them. It's like a known thing. I mean, there's all kinds of statistics out there. And really, if you wanted to stop that, false rape claims, if you can prove a rape claim was false, if a rape claim is falsified, a sexual allegation, assault is falsified, not like, okay, something happened, but we determined it wasn't a rape or a sexual assault or anything illegal. But if you can determine that the claims are totally falsified, whatever punishment would have been levied against the man you accused, you should then face. 110%. And women should support that. Because, see, that protects women who have been raped. That protects women who have been victimized by sexual assault. But that's not what Mazie Hirono says. That's not what the Democrats say. They want any woman who makes any claim to be believed 110%. But then guess what? Women are going to lie. Women are going to take advantage of that. And then actual victims of rape never get heard. Of course, that's what the Democrats have already done. Look at what happened with Keith Ellison and Monahan. I can't even remember her name. Notice everybody knows the fake woman who made the claims against Kavanaugh. Nobody knows the real woman who made the claims against Ellison, which we have actual proof of. And you get ready. Bomb's about to drop on that. But that's what they want you to say. Oh, a woman made an accusation? She must be believed. No, that's lunacy. And now they keep saying they want an FBI investigation. FBI investigation. How about an FBI investigation into Dianne Feinstein having a Chinese spy for 20 years? Nope. But Feinstein says after she withholds the letter for 20 days before the hearings and then releases it after the hearings, obstruction of justice, she's the one that releases it then to the media so they can create these headlines and character assassinate Kavanaugh. And then she says, I can't say everything in the letter is truthful. Then why did you have it? Why didn't you corroborate it? And then why did you release it? Because they want to destroy Kavanaugh with lies. Now, Kavanaugh's accuser, Ford, she's a doctor now, Dr. Ford. She's Dr. Ford, Professor Ford. What's she going to be next? An astronaut? And she accuses Ford of, she's saying that she's been forced out of her home over threats now. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. I have a hard time believing that. You know why? Because you're a known liar. So you say people are threatening you and you've been forced to leave your home? Guess what? You're a known liar. I don't believe you. That's your fault. Maybe it's true. It's like the boy that cried wolf. Sorry, don't believe you, liar. And then, oh my gosh, you're going to love this clip, folks. This is like, this is so next level. You thought what I just reported here was madness. You thought what I just reported here was insane. Wait till you hear this. Hillary Clinton says that we have to give Kavanaugh's accuser the benefit of the doubt. Wow. And we've got the clip, but just think about the boldness. Think about the unmitigated audacity for Hillary Clinton, who has abused women psychologically, victims of rape and sexual assault. A woman who stood up for a rapist pedophile. This is one of the most sick. If this doesn't show you how sick and demonic Hillary Clinton really is, that she would go this far to say we have to believe all the accusers when she ignored and psychologically abused the multiple accusers of her husband. This is a demon, folks. This is a demon. This woman knows no limits of her demonic, depraved everything, essence, very being. She can't be anything else but a total demon. She can't be anything else but a total liar. She can't be anything else but a total fraud. So listen to the audacity of Hillary Clinton, who, again, psychologically abused Bill Clinton's accusers. Let's not even say victims, because she just says if you make an accusation, that it has to be true. Well, they accused Bill Clinton. In fact, I accused Bill Clinton of rape. I allege Bill Clinton raped me at the International Space Station in 1988 before I was even born. But that's my accusation, and I'm a woman today. So I'm a woman today. The left says I can decide my own gender, my own sex. So today I'm a woman. Today, as a woman, I accuse Bill Clinton allegedly, perhaps, raping me on the International Space Station in 1988 with a cigar. Doesn't matter I wasn't born. Doesn't matter I'm alleging it, but it's not true. I allege that. I accuse Bill Clinton. I declare myself a woman today. So Hillary Clinton must hear me out. Don't believe me? Let's go to Hillary Clinton.
I mean, there can't be one set of rules for Democrats and one set of rules for Republicans. That's one of the reasons why people don't have any confidence
Literally
in Congress. How can you? You don't know what's going to happen from day to day.
See, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Do you see what I'm saying? She has to be as big of a liar as possible. She can't tell a little. She has to be fully demonic. She has to be fully on board with lies. She has to be fully on board with propaganda. She has to rub crap in your face and spit on you. Go back. This is unbelievable.
Remember back in the Thomas hearings when Senator Byrd was asked.
KKK member she was friends with.
And he said, in a situation like this, we should give the benefit of the doubt to the court and the country.
Oh, my God.
And that's what the Republicans should be doing right now, from the White House down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Senate. Give the benefit of the doubt to the court and the country.
Juanita Broderick, Kathleen Willey.
Have an investigation that will then lead to a hearing, that will then lead to a vote.
This is insane.
And instead,
she knows that's not even true. She's a liar. She's a lawyer. She knows that's not true.
Try to pack the court with, another nominee, regardless of the question.
That's on Rachel Maddow last night. Now, here's the deal, folks. There's a reason why we came together to elect Trump. It's because we knew Hillary Clinton was a total demon. And so people from all different backgrounds and all different political beliefs, all different religions, races, whatever, age groups, sexes, we knew we had to stop that witch right there. And thank God we did. Can you imagine? Now, I want to go now to clip 18. Because this is why Trump has them so afraid, folks. This is why they're doubling down on their lies, tripling, quadrupling. Just listen to Governor Jerry Brown of California, who's destroyed California. Listen to what he says on MSNBC.
We never had a president who is engaged in this kind of behavior. I mean, he's not
saving the economy.
He keeps changing his mind. He's sabotaging the world order in many respects.
Thank God.
It's unprecedented. It's dangerous. And hopefully this election is going to send a strong message to the country. The Democrats will win. And then Trump, something's got to happen to this guy. Because if we don't get rid of him, he's going to undermine America and even the world.
Undermining America by making it stronger and richer. Undermine America by bringing the jobs back, standing up for it, loving it. That's undermining it, according to Democrat Governor of California, Jerry Brown, who I guess saved California then. By that, Jerry Brown saved California by making it feces-ridden, needle-ridden, drug-ridden, criminal-ridden, debt-ridden. So California was saved by Jerry Brown by destroying it. So Jerry Brown is the savior of California. Don't you get it? He destroyed California. He took a dump on California. He urinated on California. He spit on California. He made California broke. He's the hero. Trump saved America, so he destroyed America. Amazing time to be alive. Making history every day here. That's what we're doing. Now, in the next segment, I'm going to get into the tech censorship against InfoWars, what it means, how China's involved, what's coming next. But there is a video right now that is on the internet and not going viral that needs to go viral. In fact, can you pull up the YouTube channel, please, guys? It is, what is it? Big League Productions, I think, or something was the name of the YouTube channel. I want to make sure we get it right here. The crew is going to pull it up. But they just put a video out of the Bugs Life scene when they talk about the ants. It is that the name? Is that the original publisher right there? Because that one, yeah, that's not the original, guys. Go to the original link. Big Game Productions made a meme video of a Bug's Life, which anybody my age growing up, and really anybody, is one of the most famous movies, a classic movie. How can you not like it? And it's the famous scene where they're at essentially the bar, the grasshoppers, and they're eating the grains. And the guy's like, oh, you know, it's just one ant standing up. What do you care about one ant? And they say, oh, the one ant. So you know the scene. So watch this video, share this video. Let's make this video go viral from Big Game Productions. I'm going to play it again before the show's over, but let's start it at the top, guys. Let's roll this video from Big Game Productions. This is the Democrat meme. It's Democrats' faces, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, the like, Bernie Sanders, their faces on the grasshoppers. And then the grains are Kanye West and Candace Owens. So see if you understand this for the radio audience, and then watch the video on the Alex Jones Show and the YouTube channel Big Game Productions. We'll repost it on Infowars.com. Here is A Dem's Life by Big Game Productions.
There was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss, they're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this grain is a puny little ant.
Kanye West.
Did that hurt?
No.
Well, how about this one?
Candace Owens.
Are you kidding? How about this?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about votes. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
So there you go. Now make that meme go viral because it explains the Democrat Party and how they view black people to a T. And you know, here's the craziest thing. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everyone, you know, where every demographic group lies politically. That's impossible to claim. But I don't see the Democrats dominating the black vote at all in this midterm. And if they don't get at least, you know, 70%, 80% of the black vote, the Democrat Party is dead. And they know that. That's why that meme is so perfect, because it's all about keeping black voters in line. See, it's all about keeping them on welfare, all about keeping them needy, all about keeping them needing the Democrats. Oh, but now they realize, oh, black people, they're aware of our games now. They're not really voting for us. They kind of like Trump even. And so what are they doing? They're trying to open the borders. They're trying to bring in people from Central America to vote. So they don't care about the black people voting anymore. You've learned about their tricks. So now they want to trick people coming in from Central America and make them citizens so that they can get their vote and create voter blocks. I just don't see it working for the Democrats. I really don't see this blue wave working. But they're going to lie and act like it's inevitable. It really is perfect timing that there's about to be some bombshell news breaking on Keith Ellison. And again, it's ridiculous because Karen Monahan, who was allegedly a victim of Keith Ellison, although it's not alleged, the records prove it. You know, she doesn't get any media coverage. Nobody cares. You know, it's Keith Ellison. He's a good Muslim. Don't you dare say anything bad about him. Oh, but Kavanaugh, who's a good Catholic, who actually has no evidence against him, and they admit the accusations aren't true. Well, that doesn't matter. We say he's bad. We don't like him. He can't be on the Supreme Court. Total childish behavior. I mean, If you want to boil it down, they're acting like children. But it's not that. These are demonic, pathological liars that lust for power. And they see the Supreme Court slipping through their hands for the next 20, 30 years, and they can't stand it. They need that power. They have to wield that power over the American people. But who do the Democrats ally with to do that? Who do the Democrats collude with to do that? Well, big tech and social media. And so more news developments come out every day about how these tech giants in Silicon Valley, Apple and Google, are moving to China, getting their cloud storage to China, aligning themselves with the Chinese government, where China announces big new tariffs on America, right? Big new tariffs on U.S. goods. But who is not getting those tariffs? Who gets exempt from those tariffs? Oh, Apple. Oh, I see. Okay. Got you. So tariffs on U.S. goods in a trade war. Now it's a trade war. It used to be trade rape. Yeah, China used to just rape us in trade. Now we're fighting back, so it's a trade war, and it's a big headline, Trump bad. But okay. So China says, well, we're going to have to tariff some items here. You're engaging in trade war now. Okay. And then, but Apple, no, you're good, bro. You're good. You work with the Chinese government. You give us all the U.S. data. You give every citizen's data to us. You're good, Apple. You're tax exempt. You're exempt from the tariffs. Good for you, Apple. Good, Apple. Good. Yes, good. What is that pesky noise coming from Austin, Texas? What, do you hear that? There is something. That's Alex Jones. We have to ban him. So that's what they did. You're not allowed to get the InfoWars official app on your iPhone. You're not allowed to watch the Alex Jones Show on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. But if you're the Chinese government and you want access to every citizen and all their data and everything they've ever done on an Apple product, good to go, baby. Good to go. And the left in America loves it. 2 million political prisoners in China that we know of. 100 million political murders by the Chinese government that we know of. Manufacturing plants in China where they work for a bag of rice a day to feed their family, where they have abortuaries in the factories so that women don't get pregnant and have to miss work, where they have suicide nets outside the window because people are so miserable so they don't jump out to die. Wow. And then what do you find out? Hillary Clinton's private server was actually China's private server. It wasn't even Hillary's. China just put it in Hillary's house so that she could upload classified data to it. Dianne Feinstein, one of the top Democrats for decades, multi-millionaire, has a Chinese spy with her for 20 years. Or was she the Chinese spy? Where's that investigation? Where's that hearing? Where are the calls for that? Where's the media outrage? Crickets. But that man, Alex Jones in Austin, Texas, is out of control. Shut him down. Chinese spies in the government. And then what was it, like 20 U.S. assets in China got killed by the Chinese government, tortured, some of them, because they got the classified details. Was that Dianne Feinstein's fault? Does Dianne Feinstein have the death of Americans on her hands because she was a Chinese spy? Or is it Hillary Clinton that was the Chinese spy that has the death of those Americans on her hands? It wouldn't really matter for Hillary. I mean, how many death toll on Hillary's belt? Whew. I mean, screw like you talk about like old Western flicks where they like mark a notch on their gun for every kill they get. Gee, I mean, Hillary Clinton's got like, I mean, if anybody's competing with the Chinese, she brags about what she did in Libya. So yeah, there it is. Big tech will work with the Chinese government and censor Alex Jones, although maybe it's all one in the same, right? Because what does the Chinese government do? Censor free speech. What does the Chinese government do? Censor political speech. What does Apple and Google want to do? Censor political speech, censor free speech. And now they're all working in unison to do so in the West, but people are too distracted to even notice it. I can still watch my football. I can still go look at my favorite Instagram model. I don't care about anything else. What do I need? Oh, but then you look into China's social media control and how they use that to monitor its citizens. It's really crazy. In fact, in China, it's basically in real time now. Pretty much, I mean, you go into Hong Kong or Shanghai, you're pretty much being video surveilled 24/7, which they almost have in America, but it's different in China. They got the facial recognition, they got the biometric recognition, they got it all, and they got the social media networks tied into it. It's all on record, baby. And you can say, hey, that's good for safety. Okay, you can have that debate, but did you sign on to that? Did you let Facebook know you wanted them to work with the government to facially get your biometric data? When you used the Google searches and got your Apple products, did you agree to let China data mine that and get all your information? Did you sign on to that? Did you sign on to be a Chinese asset? And so then they say the trade war. China cuts U.S. Treasury holdings as trade war starts to heat up. So it's been trade rape, again, to the tunes of actually over time, it's over $1 trillion. But annually, a couple hundred $100 billion, China defeats us in the quote unquote trade war. And why is that? Well, because they don't have minimum wage in China. They don't have working conditions of manufacturing plants that they have to keep up with in China, so they can pay people a penny a day. They can have it, basically be totally worn down in some of these factories. Some of them have to live there. And so that's basically what goes on. And so they can manufacture things for cheap, and then they can work with the Chinese government and then be tax-free. And so that allures a lot of big U.S. companies that can afford it to go over there, make the investment, and then it just pays off in triplicate because their overhead costs in China are practically nothing. So they say, screw America. I'd rather move to China and have no overhead. And they treat, people over there like, basically just indentured servants of the government. You put up a poster of Jesus, they rip it down, take you to jail. Oh, but now Trump is like, hey, we're not going to let China trade rape us. And they say, trade war. Trump declares trade war. No. This is like a rape victim standing up for themselves and stabbing. Or let's say a woman is getting raped and she pulls out the gun and shoots the assailant. That's like the media coming out and say, woman savagely murders innocent man who was trying to open the door for her. It's like, no. She was being raped and she shot him because she didn't want to be raped and killed, and she was in her defense. Media says, woman savagely murders man who was offering her to hold her hand. Woman savagely murders an innocent man in the streets. It's like, no, she was defending herself. So here's China, hundreds of billions of dollars, $1 trillion over time in trade deficit, just destroying us in trade. Trump says, hey, we're going to try to even this. And what do they do? Trump declares war on China. Trump declares trade war. Meanwhile, North Korea and South Korea have another meeting, and both countries say North Korea is going to work towards denuclearization. Does Trump get any credit? Does anyone report on that? Does it matter if Trump denuclearizes North Korea or brings the Koreas together, which he's done historically? Any credit? Nothing? Bueller? So here's the deal at InfoWarsStore.com right now. We've got probably the most popular item in the history of the InfoWars store, maybe the most highly rated. Thousands and thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews. It has a 4.9 star review on the official certified reviews, which is basically a 5-star review. I mean, if you have one rating that's not 5-star, it goes down to 4.9. It never goes back up. So it's basically a 5-star review. It's unheard of. And it's Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine at InfoWarsStore.com, but it's the last run. So this is about to be retired. This is about to be in the Hall of Fame. This is about to have its jersey number retired and hung from the rafters here at InfoWars. So take advantage of Survival Shield X2 before it sells out this final run. It's like Wayne Gretzky doing his final days in the NHL. It's like Michael Jordan playing his final days in the NBA. This is the best of all time on its goodbye tour. Like Derek Jeter had his final season a couple years ago. This is the final season for Survival Shield. Get your tickets. Like, go see the greatest of all time before he retires. That's what this is. So take advantage of Survival Shield X2 before it sells out and retires. And it's 25% off right now, but that's not going to last. But, you know, we could fund everything, if the millions of people that tuned in today to the Alex Jones Show went to InfoWarsStore.com and got Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste on auto ship, let's just say every 90 days for your house, yourself, your family, what have you. Maybe even the office you work for. Or you know, you work at a recreation center or something. You know, you need toothpaste around. There's kids around all the time. They eat lunch up there. Maybe you need to buy some Super Blue. Have it on 90-day order. You get 10% off with auto ship. But here's what I'm telling you this. We could fund everything we do here just with toothpaste. I mean, it's ridiculous that we have this toothpaste and it could fund everything. And it's a household item that everybody needs. So why don't you change your toothpaste today from whatever major corporate toothpaste you're using that has the fluoride in it that says, you know, harmful if swallowed, contact poison control, and go get Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste. Get it on auto ship for 10% off at InfoWarsStore.com. So fund this organization. Get your toothpaste. Everybody brushes their teeth, I hope. So get your toothpaste at InfoWarsStore.com. And that's how we can fund everything. If everybody that listened to Alex Jones just got his toothpaste, Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, it's like checkmate. It's amazing. All right. Now, having said that, I also have made an announcement. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central here in Austin, Texas, I am calling an InfoWars Army rallying point at the Riverside Bridge over Highway 35. Now, I have 6 signs that I'm bringing that you can hold and I'll hold and people can hold. Hopefully 6 people show up. But bring your own sign. Bring a flag. You know, bring a bullhorn if you want. Bring whatever you want. The point is, this is the InfoWars Army. We're going out into the real world. And you're going to have tens of thousands of people that drive over that bridge. This is like if you wanted to buy a billboard right there, it'd be like, you know, probably $100,000 or something for a year. So you're going there and you're getting, we're marketing for free speech. Like we're marketing for truth. And we can do it for free. So I'm calling an InfoWars Army rendezvous rally point, 5 p.m. Central on the Riverside Bridge over Highway 35. Guys, pull the map back up one more time. If you have it, yeah, there it is right there. InfoWars Army rally point, 5 p.m. Central on Riverside Drive over the 35 highway. And for people who are wanting to organize, again, a lot of people are asking me questions. Ask yourself. You'll have the answer. You can find the answers. And if you want to organize, go onto Twitter, use the hashtag InfoWars Army as our conduit. So you go on Twitter, you say, hey, I'm in the hashtag InfoWars Army. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Are there any fellow Info Warriors by me? And then someone else, you know, boom, hashtag. And then you go, you search the hashtag, and then everything hashtagged InfoWars Army is right there documented for you perfectly. So that's how we can communicate. All right. Should I let's just do some lighthearted stuff here in the final 3 minutes before I come back and I focus on something that's more important. Now, this is so racist, folks. I really don't even know how to report it from the Daily Mail. Gorillas form lifelong bonds with other apes that help neighboring groups keep the peace. How dare you even report on gorillas? Do you know that they're closely related to the monkey? So I just have to go out and say that I disavow. I disavow this research on gorillas saying they form lifelong bonds with other gorillas. I disavow. This is racist. What, gorillas can't think differently? Gorillas can't be independent? Do you know how racist that is? So I just want to disavow that because, you know, we know if you say monkey, I mean, you know, you really need to be scolded. And, you know, we can allege a lot of other things here, but we'll stay away. So in case you haven't heard, a strange story happened in New Mexico, Sunspot, New Mexico. There was a solar observatory closure that the FBI was all mum about. A lot of weirdness going on there, but again, we don't get much into the paranormal. There's a lot of stuff out there if you're into that. But the strange thing that I wanted to talk about with this is that basically the whole town was evacuated, and you had the FBI come in, totally secretive, not tell anybody what happened, and then shut it down. And everybody had these questions. And I'm not encouraging this. I'm just saying, like, this is the control that the federal government has. See, if I was in Sunspot and I really wanted to know something about this, I would gather up 100 people and I would march in there and I'd say, go ahead and try to stop me. What are you going to do? Shoot me? What are you going to do? Arrest me? Fine, arrest me. So what are they hiding? So see, that's the point. That's why you take action. These people in government think that they own you because you won't take action. They just have to show up and say, sit down, and you sit. Well, I don't sit. I stand, I bark, I bite. So my point is that it's just like, and who knows what happened? Maybe there was some